Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy.
Right, let's start this fucking show. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast, episode 761. It is June 29th, 2023. I am your host, Nicholas Henderson. I'm joined by Bradley Simons.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Christopher Guthridge.
Ahoy!
And Christopher Davis.
Good evening.
And we are, of course, coming to you live from, well, mostly. I was about to say coming to you live from Austin, Texas, except now that doesn't apply across the board. Now that Nolan.
God.
It's like the first time.
Also,
I've decided to say
none of you live in Austin. I'm the only one that lives in Austin.
This motherfucker over here.
Technically, it's true. Don't fucking move to Austin, okay? Stay out.
Yeah, he's
Wait, you're
splitting
telling
hairs
us
here.
to stay?
Yes, stay out. It's too expensive here. There's too many people. You guys just stay in your little fastest growing suburb in the U.S.
Please stay away from Travis and basically Central Texas, because I'm desperately trying to save up for a house, and you fuckers are not helping me with property values.
Yeah,
you know,
if you don't own a house by now,
you just go way out there. Just good drive 50 minutes north of us. And maybe
I do not want to live in Temple, is the thing.
Amen to that. All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the 4Player Podcast. Let's talk about video games. We got a lot to talk about tonight because last week we decided to say fuck the podcast and we played Diablo 4 together. You know what? That was pretty fun. That was pretty cool. Good times. But we have to play catch up a little bit. We got some video games to talk about.
Wait, Nick.
What?
Were they good times?
I had a good time. I mean, I had a good time hanging out with my. What? Why do I feel like I'm being attacked?
I don't know if anybody had a good time. You especially didn't seem you were having a good time.
I had a good time.
I had a great time. I mean, I think it stems more from the fact that I was talking with y'all.
And that's it. You know. That's the strength of those kind of games. They're just fun to chill and hang out.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, it was pretty good. God damn it, Brad, you threw me off. We got a lot. Like I said, we got a lot to catch up on. Last week or last podcast, anyways. Crispy wasn't here. I want to give you an opportunity, Crispy, before we get into housekeeping and stuff. Is there anything you want to say? We talked about Starfield and we talked about
a lot of
Summer Game Fest stuff. They announced a new Star Wars game. Anything to say about that?
A lot of stuff has happened. I'm really hyped about that Star Wars game. Looks really cool.
I will say...
Love that you can go from surface to space seamlessly in your spaceship. That's pretty cool. Starfield looks neat too, I guess. I guess Starfield's gonna be great. My like we were talking about before the show. My general feeling about Starfield at the moment is that it looks better than Fallout. It looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. The gunplay actually looks fun. I'm really excited about jetpacks. I'm really excited about customizing and building ships, and I'm really excited about like boarding vessels and stealing ships out in space. Like that shit looks hype as fuck. I'm still not entirely enamored of the NASA punk aesthetic. I think it's a little.
Here's a question: Is it the marketing term they decided to go with that's bothering you?
It's not
the
term. It is the actual look. Before they said anything about NASA punk, if you remember that first trailer that they put out, that little teaser trailer that was like NASA spacesuits and like switches and dials, like it was like a shot of a console or something. Right. I was a little I was kind of hoping for something a little more
I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, who's fond of like the Elder Scrolls aesthetic? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, but this is so generically fantasy, you know, like.
But like, this is. I'm gonna be honest. Like, the thing that has me, I think, the most excited about. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about mechanically and stuff, but I love that this is the direction they went aesthetically with it. Maybe I'm the odd one out here. I don't know. But
look, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything particularly like heinous about it or wrong about it. It just, you know,
I feel like it's almost, it's not the same thing, but like the same way I kind of felt playing Alien Isolation, and they did like they did a really good job of capturing kind of like the, what do they call it? What's the term they use?
Like, I don't know. I don't know what term they use.
I get it. I feel like Nick wants the most realistic version of space.
No. I mean, no, not necessarily.
Well, this from Star Trek as it possibly can be.
No,
I would.
Star Wars. What are you talking about?
Well, I would argue that Alien.
Star Trek.
I would argue that Alien has a different and more compelling aesthetic than what's going on.
It does, but like,
because there is still that sense of like kind of like more of like a retro sci-fi thing with Alien, which is neat. Grounded. Well, grounded. I hate that word. But it's got more of like an aesthetic character to it. Starfield kind of looks like a SpaceX ad. Like, I don't know.
Don't say that. You're ruining it. You're spoiling it, Crispy. You're spoiling it.
I just
feel like so many games or movies or whatever of this genre just by default gravitate away from this kind of aesthetic that's like very familiar, and I guess that's what is making it feel like when you do science fiction, I feel like naturally they tend to gravitate towards like super alien looking or super just like not modern technology, like super far beyond what we're capable of. And the fact that they kind of use NASA as like
everything that's going on in this game is far beyond what we're capable of.
Well, no, God, is this really so hard to communicate?
I get what you're saying. Like, this is more of like a speculative fiction kind of thing. Like, like they're trying to draw an aesthetic continuity between what we have today and what Starfield is.
What you're trying to describe, Nick, the term is actually called cassette futurism.
What does that mean?
That would be cooler.
It's technological aesthetic from like the 70s through the 90s.
Yeah, but like, back in 2014 when Alien Isolation came out, and I was like obsessing over Alien and stuff. I remember watching like dev diaries and shit, and they were talking about there was a specific term they used to describe like future tech as envisioned from the 80s, and it wasn't that. But it sounds like that's kind of the same thing. It wasn't retrofuturism. I don't know what maybe it was something very specific to like alien mythos, and it was just some marketing term. I don't fucking. Maybe somebody in chat knows. But like, I do like that. Sorry, this is a tangent. I didn't mean to go.
I mean, the whole point is that like it's fine. It's fine is the point, and I still think it's probably going to be one of the best games of the year. I think we're all gonna dump hundreds and thousands of hours into it, and it's going to make billions and billions of dollars, and everything will be fine. Maybe.
If the crew stuff is good.
If the crew stuff is good.
I mean, like it was a good showing, and it flipped everyone back into the positive.
Yeah,
that game still has a lot to prove.
It did.
I feel like.
I was more negative about the game before I watched that demo. After watching it, I was definitely like, okay. And I genuinely just don't like Todd Howard as a person. I don't like Pete Hines as a person. Like I don't like those guys, and I don't want to like the games that they make. But that's
weird though. I mean, there's so many people to like truly hate in this game.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot. You're right. There's a lot of villains.
So he's. I mean, Todd Howard, I feel like should not be like.
Todd Howard's just a dork. I don't know. Pete Hines is like actively like hostile to like journalism and press, and I just don't like that.
Yeah, of course.
Unless he's controlling the message.
But like, they're not like a like a David Jaffe or anything. I mean,
it could be worse. Could always be David Jaffe.
I will say this.
Could be far.
I will say this about David Jaffe. David Jaffe is like kind of a weirdo who puts his foot in his mouth a lot, but like I do feel like he has a point of view and he has a vision for the things that he does. I don't necessarily feel that way about Bethesda Game Studios, but whatever.
Well, they're very different,
All
Sure.
right, let's rein it back in. Let's turn this ship around. Let's do the housekeeping. Let's do the Fantasy Critic updates. We're gonna do recaps of the Nintendo Direct tonight. We're gonna do a little recap of the Annapurna thing that happened today. Yeah, there's stuff. We got stuff to get to. And then, of course, in the second segment, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy XVI, Aliens Dark Descent, and Trepang2, and Halls of Torment. We got lots to talk about. So let's dive right into it. We haven't... Some stuff has happened in the Fantasy Critic over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. What has happened in 2 weeks? Jeez.
Well, Final Fantasy XVI came out and scored an 89 on Open Critic.
What else scored an 89, Nick?
Dave the Diver, both
89 and going down.
Yeah.
Well,
wait, Dave the Diver's
$1 pickup, same difference.
Dave the Diver's at 89,
right? With only 5 reviews right now. Or sorry,
did you pick for Dave the Diver?
No. It was at a 91 with 5 reviews. It has more, I think. It went down a little bit, but it's holding strong. I mean, it has like 7 reviews on Metacritic, and it's an 89. So I think it's gonna. I think it might settle, but I think it's going to stay high 80s.
Oh yeah,
people like it. People like it a lot.
Absolutely, and Final Fantasy seems to have kind of settled on 89. Although it only has about 100 reviews, and like when you look at like the biggest releases of the year on Open Critic, like Street Fighter 6 and Diablo and Zelda, they're all sitting at like between 140 and 160 reviews, and I'm like, were there really just that many places that didn't review 16 yet, or is it just because
they might still be playing? Well, no, they might not have sent out as many codes.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's still time, and like they're trickling in.
Final Fantasy, it's still like a Japanese RPG, and that's just not as like mainstream big. I mean, like you said, Diablo, Zelda, like Final Fantasy's not going to sell anywhere near those.
I know.
Terms of sales.
I mean, there was a time when Final Fantasy and Zelda, at least to me, and my back when I was not as informed as I am now, like they felt to me like they were very much on the same.
No, they were, but since then, Breath of the Wild and the Switch has been a thing, and now it went from like a 5 million selling series to like a 30 million selling series, and it's just a different. I mean, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are in a different tier now, and
you're very right. You're absolutely correct. And yes, I was pretty upset about where Final Fantasy ended up, and I was very open about that going into it. To me, Final Fantasy 16 was my chance at pulling a game in that would break into the 90s, and I told you I was going to be very disappointed if it didn't like top 92 or 93 or whatever, and it was for a little bit. It was like 92 for a bit, and then it started to go down, and then it hit 89. So I think that's probably where it's going to end up settling. Which kind of sucks.
I'm a little surprised, Nick. Well, never mind.
What?
No. What you said is good and accurate. I agree. And we'll talk about that game. But the other big news, Nick, I don't know if you have an order, is I went from having the most money to having $1, and I'm done with my fucking league.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting there. So we had some pickups this week. Brad's list is full. I bid on Super Mario RPG Remake because Crispy picked up Super Mario Bros. Wonder, right? He didn't pick. He got the.
That's the story. Why are we talking about that?
This is the real story. Of course, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct here in a minute, but like, Crispy and I, right? Like, I picked up the unannounced 3D Mario platformer. Crispy picked up the unannounced 2D Mario platformer, and it's just been a bad, no good week for me, right? So like, all of a sudden, Final Fantasy's not doing the numbers I wanted, and then all of a sudden, Crispy gets his Mario game, and I have to fucking drop mine. And then I go to try to pick up Mario RPG Remake, which was announced, and Brad swoops in with a $68 bid.
Okay,
why couldn't it be $69, Brad? Explain yourself.
Well, because if it was $69, then I would have $0 left. So let me explain. Because people are like, or Nick, I guess, is like, why'd you spend so much fucking money on it? The thing is, Nolan had. Well, I know, but it's a podcast, and I need to explain.
I know.
I don't think Super Mario RPG is worth $68, right? But we're at a point in the year where there might be games that come out that are better than this, but like they're not going to be like high-profile games where we're all going to like spend a bunch of money on it, right? I knew that was a safe pickup, even if I think it's probably going to be low to mid 80s, right? But the point is, Nolan had one spot left, and he had. And so I did $1 more than the rest of his budget, because which I probably didn't need to do that much, honestly. He probably would have wanted to save some money in case something got dropped or whatever. But the point is, I didn't want him to have something that's super safe, right? I'm still worried about Nolan, and I don't want
This bitch
you
is
know
smiling over here.
what?
I'm talking
No,
about Nolan.
that's the thing. I was saving so much money for like the big announcement, right? For the Nintendo Direct, because of the like the 2D Mario, 3D Mario bid. Like there wasn't really much left in that Direct for me to spend all my money on. I was kind of hoping for a Donkey Kong, hoping for a Metroid, something that would do numbers. And when the dust settled, it was like, well, I got to spend all my money on something because there's nothing else that's going to be announced that's high profile, that's going to get a date that's this year that I feel confident outside of Nintendo. And this was the game. This was the game to spend all my money on. And then I spent the rest of my money minus $1 on Persona because, again, not because I think it's going to do numbers, but because I think it's a safe pickup, and I don't want, Crispy or Nolan to get any more safe games. And it's not that I'm not worried about you, Chris Davis, or Chris Davis has done. It's not that I'm not worried about you and Carlos, but y'all have so many open spots. Y'all have so many opportunities to like fuck up. I'm not as worried about y'all picking up something safe, but Nolan could have easily made that his last slot. So I was also, I got to take it.
I'm not necessarily done because the biggest question on my thing is right now is Tekken 8. That doesn't have a release date. So
I looked at your list. If Tekken 8 gets a date, I'm worried about Chris Davis as well. So
there is a Bandai Namco thing tomorrow. Do you think there's any chance they're going to do a Tekken thing there?
That's at Anime Expo. I don't know about that.
Also, Evo.
No. Bandai Namco is doing a showcase tomorrow, just like Annapurna did today. Or no, maybe not tomorrow. I think it's Saturday. It's July 1st. Yeah, July 1st. So it'd be Saturday. They're doing a showcase, a digital showcase.
Evo is where I would expect to maybe see a date, but there's still a lot of conversation saying that it was never going to be this year. So that's why I haven't been too worried about it. But I'm done. And I will say I really hesitated picking up Persona because I do think it's safe. And I almost don't want to roll the dice on any indies, really, because I'm done rolling the dice, honestly. But
you're done.
I almost held off because I hate the fact that we're only halfway through the year and I don't really need to pay attention anymore. That kind of sucks, right? It's a little bittersweet because it's fun to kind of keep your eye on indies and look for dates. And I didn't even watch the fucking Annapurna thing because, I was at work.
Well, don't worry, Brad. Because
we'll talk
everyone's
about
cool stuff, and this is a frequent topic conversation.
It wasn't more like excited. I wasn't excited for like pickups.
Right.
But
okay,
I'll still watch it.
By the way, can I just ask real quick about Persona 5 Tactica? Do we know who the developer is?
We know it's the Persona. We know it's. So the word I hear is like the Persona B team, the Persona spin-off team, probably like the people who made like the Persona Q games is my guess. But I mean, it is internal. It's not like farmed out or anything.
Okay, because I wasn't certain who was doing it, whether that was the Persona A team was doing Persona 3 or doing Persona 6 or like what it was. So,
well, I think that team is pretty much always working on like a core Persona experience, whether it's
Metaphor,
a remake or
maybe even Metaphor, possibly.
Oh, there is that too. Yeah.
Is there a remake of 5 coming out?
3 remake of 3.
Oh, 3.
All right.
That's
couple other things. Couple other things, then we can move on from Fantasy Critic. There is a new bid this week for
what was that? See, I
Gravity
didn't even look. That's the thing. I didn't even look.
What is it for?
Gravity Circuit.
I have played the demo for Gravity Circuit. That is a really encouraging game with a very good soundtrack.
So
yeah, I think
what is Chris Davis dropping? What's he dropping? Because that doesn't make sense. Who else is going to bid on that? It does look cool, I admit, but who the fuck's bidding on that?
We will find out on Saturday. I mean, there's
never even heard.
Brad and Crispy are off the. Carlos hasn't really bid on much. Like he's been super quiet, and he still has a lot of.
He's just smart.
Shut up.
No. I want to say I did not introduce Persona or Mario RPG because my philosophy is why fucking rush it. My hand was forced. I really hate that people like are introducing these games when they don't have to.
Hey,
Brad, I'm the one that bid on those.
I bid on.
Why are you in a hurry? What's your reasoning there?
I didn't expect to take both of them. I only bid $1 on Persona Tactica.
Yeah. that's true.
Also, I bid on Super Mario RPG. In fact, I think I may have been the first bid on Super Mario RPG.
Nobody had
Brad,
to
you're
first.
always talking about how we should wait and how it's safer to like get more information.
Yeah.
So it felt like a disruptive play to introduce them without.
No, you're right.
benefit.
It's spice. It's spice. I mean, I get it.
Also, please remember that this is our first year doing this, so we're all kind of feeling it out and learning how. Like next year is gonna be really interesting because we're all gonna have like some knowledge under our belt about how these things work and what's a good strategy. And
the gamesmanship next year is gonna be
like there's some talk about early access and stuff, but you know, I don't know if we shouted it out enough, and we are going to talk about the game in more detail, but like actually getting the 2D Mario play a week after the 3D Mario play was pretty bold by Crispy, and I'm kind of glad he got rewarded for that because you know it was savvy. It was savvy.
It was wild.
Crispy's a savvy guy. All right. A couple other quick mentions. We got some release dates. I like to mention release date updates, especially for things that are on Fantasy Critic already that we've picked up. So Baldur's Gate 3 actually moved up almost a month.
That's crazy.
It went from August 31st to August 3rd. That's pretty crazy.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
So you know what I heard some conversation that they might have been trying to get away from Starfield, and that's why they pushed it up, which makes sense, right? But because they decoupled it from the console release, they're probably it was probably never the PC version that was not ready. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was holding it back. So once they decoupled it from the PlayStation release, they're probably like, fuck it, let's push it up to get away from Starfield, because that's going to be where the most competition is, not on PlayStation, because PlayStation fans can't play fucking Starfield anyways if they don't have Xboxes or whatnot. So it makes sense. And now they actually pushed back the PlayStation release date. So now the PlayStation game it's not launching on Xbox. The PlayStation version is coming out the same day as Starfield now, which is interesting.
So that's actually kind of interesting because it's like we know that we don't have Starfield to directly compete with because we don't have, it's not on our platform or it's not on the PlayStation, right? So they're like, why don't we launch Baldur's Gate 3 as like our answer to Baldur's Gate 3 on our platform? Like I feel like that's a really bold, interesting move.
And there was some news out of Larian about why it's not launching on Xbox, and in short, it's because of the Series S. They have a policy that it has to run to a certain standard on the S, and Larian's like,
that's what I've said a few times, and I feel like people keep like dismissing that when I bring that up, and like that is a big deal right now.
It's surprising to hear like a game like Baldur's Gate 3 though snubbing the S, because it's like it's not Starfield or anything. I mean, that thing's going to run Starfield. It's not like Baldur's Gate 3 is.
They were talking about like the technical challenge of it, and they're like, I don't think anybody really understands how big the game is and like how intricate and like fleshed out the cities are and everything. I believe it. I mean, it's marketing speak a little bit, but oh my god, it's so fucking exciting! That game is gonna fucking piss everybody's pants.
Real quick, to answer Infrared in chat, who asked, will there be a Baldur's Gate 3 channel in our Discord? Of course there will. There will be a Starfield channel. There will be a Baldur's Gate 3 channel. We like to do channels in our Discord that align with like big games that everyone's talking about. So yeah, that's...
let's just make an RPG channel where we can talk about Starfield, Baldur's Gate, Final Fantasy.
What if we just had like a gaming channel where we could talk about video games in general?
There you go.
I will say, out of all these big RPGs this year, Baldur's Gate 3 is the one I've been most excited about.
Dude, that looks
was your first pick on the Fantasy Critic. All right, real quick, we got more release dates. We'll mention Super Mario Bros. Wonder here, but that's coming out October 20th. Super Mario RPG coming out November 17th. And just today in the Annapurna Interact, I'm not even sure if Nolan has seen this yet, but Cocoon got a release date of September 29th.
Oh my god, that game continues to look sick. Fuck Nolan.
How
did y'all let him pick that up? Why did y'all let him
after watching the Annapurna thing today, I didn't know what Cocoon really was. I'd heard you guys talk about it. God. After watching the thing today, I was like, oh god. Like it felt like an idiot. I want you
to know
Brad. Go ahead, Nick.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I totally, this is my fault because I I bid more on Cocoon than I think I've bid on anything. Like, thinking that I was going to get it, and I completely forgot about. I was like, of course this is a Nolan. Nolan's going to bid on this, and Nolan has more money than God right now. So like, of course he's going to bid on it.
Done it. But see, I think what Nolan did. So like, I feel like Nolan was. I don't know if he was trying to stay close to the top or whatever, but he finally like. I couldn't do it because I was getting too close to Nolan in the money, and I was trying to maintain the money lead. So I was hoping that all of y'all would bid on Cocoon once it showed up. Because I mean, dude, it looks sick.
No, I slept on Cocoon, and I regret it.
I was so mad at myself because I bid like I forgot, it's like $15 or something like that, which was like in retrospect, like I should have. If I really wanted that game, I should have gone. I should have been willing to spend more money on it.
When y'all don't have them, I mean, you still have a lot of slots, but I mean, when y'all, I don't understand why. I mean, just spend the money when you're getting down to like the last few. You have to expect people to start
You
spending.
can't take it with you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to it. I want to recap the Nintendo Direct because we've mentioned that a few times already. I'm not again. We've had a lot of these lately, a lot of showcases and shit. So I'm not gonna like talk about everything here. I'm just gonna blow
we're
through some of
essentially
these.
at the end of the whole cycle now.
Yes, but that does not mean we're going to go into great detail about a lot of these things, Chris Davis. Control yourself. So, Nintendo Direct, right? This is the big one we've kind of been waiting for. There was a question of whether they were even going to do one to kind of align themselves with Key 3 or whatever.
Did
right?
they?
Yeah.
Boy, did they. I mean, I guess you say it like they. Honestly, I don't think this was the best. I don't think this was like the best Nintendo Direct they've ever done.
I don't know. I really liked it.
But they had some. They did bring some fire. That's for sure.
There was missing shit.
It was definitely missing some shit. But they opened with DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I'm mentioning mostly for Nolan, because Nolan I think is still the only person here who's really spent any time with Scarlet and Violet. In fact, he kind of beat the shit out of those games, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I did 100% the Pokedex.
Really?
But I will,
there it is.
Well, and those, but there's only like 400 in that game. They're not all of the Pokemon are in it. But I will say that we did know this DLC was coming. They kind of announced it a while back. They just kind of showed more of it in what we saw this past week. But yeah,
are you going to be playing these?
I at some point, I don't know if I'm going to do it right away, just because plenty of other things going on. But yeah, I'll definitely try to check them out at some point.
Cool. They showed. I don't know if this is a new trailer or if they were just kind of repeating what we already shown for Summer Game Fest. But they showed more Sonic Superstars and revealed that there's, I guess, 12 new zones. I'm not a big Sonic person, so I don't know if this is like significant or not. But
they showed a little bit more footage.
Makers of Battle in Wonderworld. All right. Let's move on.
They did show the same trailer for Persona 5 Tactica. Something called Myth Force, which actually looked kind of cool because it was like modeled after Saturday morning cartoons.
I talked about that the last show. It's one of the Embracer Group games.
Oh, that's an Embracer Group title?
Yeah.
I feel like Embracer Group's been buying up all this shit, and we've barely seen anything come from it. So
we talked about this last show. Yeah.
See, even less from Embracer Group.
Oh my goodness. Detective Pikachu returns on October 6th, and we're going to bid on that.
No.
October 6th, 2023.
I'm sure it's fine.
Not starring Ryan Reynolds.
Good.
So,
I mean,
the voice they have is better.
You didn't like Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu?
No, I mean, this is more of like a Danny DeVito voice. This is what people want.
Give the people what they want.
Okay, and then they of course announced the Super Mario RPG remake, which was the rumored SNES classic game that was rumored to be announced as a remake. Right?
I can't
a lot of
believe
people
that's
were
actually happening.
A lot of people were guessing Super Mario RPG, and that's what it turned out to be. I have never played the original Super Mario RPG, so I am actually very excited to play this.
Nicholas,
I mean, dude. But I've said this many times on this podcast. When I had a SNES, I just couldn't really care less about video games.
Wasn't that on the SNES Mini?
You mean the thing that I never plugged in and played?
Yeah,
you got a SNES Mini?
Like 8 months.
No, Chris Davis lent me a SNES Mini.
I went to
the
dentist today. So I moved recently, right? So it was the first time going to the dentist in this new city. So it was a new dentist because I'm not gonna drive over to where
in Michigan. He moved to Michigan.
Yeah, to Michigan. And they had, so not only was there, it was like a pretty fancy lobby, but there was like a kids room in the corner and hooked up they had a TV where they were like showing Moana, 2 more TVs. One of them had a SNES Mini hooked up to it, just sitting on a counter. One of them had an NES Mini hooked up to the other TV, and I'm like,
Wow.
these are just out in the
Dang.
open. I'm pretty sure these are worth money. Some
These
some
fools
kid's
don't
gonna
know what they
swipe these.
You
Throw
go
them
into
on
one of
eBay.
those. You go into one of those rich white people dentists.
Well,
Right. So anyway, I got a SNES Mini.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So I don't know what's the like. I know we talked about it in terms of Fantasy Critic, but how's everybody feeling about this Super Mario RPG remake?
Fucking
I mean,
hyped.
so yeah, but so here's the thing about Super Mario RPG. There is so much nostalgia for this game. Like you would not fucking believe. Kids of a certain age are now grown-ups and they adore that fucking game. I will say it looks like they're not really adding anything to it outside of save some cinematics. The art style is not bad, but it's like fairly uninspired. Like it's
Yeah.
like what you'd expect, you know, and it's not like blowing my mind, right? Like when Link's Awakening got a remake, that was like a really inspired glow up. It had a cool art style. It looked like they spent a little bit more money on here. This almost, and it's going to sound super insulting, but it looks like what a fan remake would look like in terms of the art style. Like it's a very basic new art.
Yeah, basic.
I don't want to say it's like budget, but you know,
it's just
like,
clean.
It's clean and basic, but you know we've seen, like a lot of people are kind of wanting like a claymation or maybe like watercolor. Like
God.
they could have done so much more with it. And
You
this
know-
is like really basic.
You know what? This is a little bit of a tangent, I suppose. But like you talking about
Like
kind of
Advance Wars.
uninspired aesthetic. I've mentioned this a few times in the podcast, but every time I think about it, I feel like I regret this. Putting down that Paper Mario game that came out, the Origami King.
Mhm.
That
That's
game
beautiful.
is such a beautiful fucking game.
But see, that's
Yeah.
it's perfect. It's great that you brought it up. That whole series of games, the Paper Mario games, brilliant aesthetic, beautiful games, right? So I feel like for Mario RPG games, of which there's many, you would almost expect them to do like a cool art style. And this just
Mhm.
seems like the most basic thing
So,
that they could have done.
I think what they tried to do was make it look like the original, just with better textures. And they tried to keep so much of the art style the same instead of trying to bring it into a more modern style. I think they were trying to just go right up to the line of the nostalgia. We got to make sure it still looks so much that's the same that people are going to like it, but it's HD instead
it's
of just
kinda
saying,
similar
"Hey, here."
It's kind of similar to that's kind of what they did with System Shock remake, right? Where it's
Or
like it's
Advance
so
Wars.
similar, where they just brought it right up to the line and just enough to make it look really fresh and like new,
Mhm.
but also be like just as super fucking familiar to anyone who's played the original.
Yeah.
Kind of safe.
Which is fine. That and like there has been a lot of Mario RPGs since the original, and they've done like really cool, like had really cool ideas. Obviously, the really cool art styles, really cool mechanics, and in some way, and honestly, the writing. Like I feel like those games became really funny as well. I like both Mario and Luigi and the Paper Mario games, and this is it's gonna feel a little bit like a Super Nintendo game. So not to bring it back to Fantasy Critic, but I don't think this is gonna do like crazy numbers or anything. But it is
That's
something
why
people
I didn't bid on it, Brad.
No, I know. But it was you still had one slot left, and I had to spend my money on something. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna do like crazy numbers, but people really do love this fucking thing. And the vibe, the energy surrounding this thing, people are happy. It's like the best selling game on Amazon just from pre-orders alone.
Yeah.
It's outselling
I feel
Final
like I should
Fantasy.
be. I feel like
So-
I should be pretty excited for this as someone who's never played it because this
And
will
you
be
know,
my this will be my gateway to this or my introduction to this game.
good vibes can turn into like good scores. It happens.
It's
You know?
it is a fantastic game, Mick. It is full of charm, oozing out of every orifice. It is
Whoa!
like I'm struggling to find proper adjectives to describe how much I really like this game. Like it is just outside my top 10.
Just dig a little deeper into those orifices, Chris Davis. You'll find the words.
Yeah.
All right. Next, they announced. This is kind of a weird one. They announced a new Princess Peach game without giving a title or any details about it. They just kind of wanted to
what
say,
is
"Hey,
it?
we got a Princess Peach game coming."
It's like a Princess Peach kind of like puppeteer stage play thing.
That's kind of the vibe I was getting
I don't know
to.
if we know, but exactly. But I mean, I'm stoked. Hopefully,
No, I
her
mean-
main powers are not her womanly
Yeah.
emotions this time.
That was a choice by
Oh.
Nintendo. Hopefully they address that.
Oh, from
Wait,
Super
see.
Princess Peach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Super Princess Peach, where her main power was like crying or getting really angry, or
I don't remember that.
it was that.
You know that thing women do.
Oh my god, jokes. We should have like a. Never mind.
A joke podcast.
Yes, we should have one of those. All right. They announced Luigi's Mansion: Dark Moon's coming to Switch, which is exciting. I suppose that's a great game.
I
Yeah.
suppose.
The Batman Arkham
Yeah, that's a
trilogy is
good
coming to Switch, which I was convinced was already on the Switch, but cool, I guess.
It has since come to light that only Arkham Asylum is on the cartridge. The rest is a download.
That is not surprising at all. Dragon Quest Monsters is coming in December. What is this?
Some people-
I don't.
No, it's a spin-off RPG series that's sort of like a
Yeah.
Pokemon like.
Gotcha.
It's been around for a long time. I feel like we haven't seen a new one over here in like forever though.
Pikmin 4. There's a demo coming. Oh, it's out. It came out
Yeah, the
yesterday.
demo's out.
Yeah.
That's a,
Did anybody play
Well,
it?
looking a little racist or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know about this
Transphobic,
old
maybe.
guy anymore.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Could be a problem.
Pretty sure it looks fucking amazing.
Every time we go down this road here, I always think there's probably gonna be that one person who's like listening to our show for the first time, and they get here and they're like, "What are these guys talking about?" And they're not gonna realize what.
The arguments we've had just because of Fantasy Critic, which is not even like really what we care about in terms of like video games, is probably very confusing to people. But
You know what?
I mean,
Fuck 'em.
really, this new Pikmin's a little bit of like a Tinykin ripoff if you think about it, since it's like in a house now, or I mean, part of it's in a house. I mean, come on, been there, done that.
Anything they
Also,
can do to try to take points away from me. This game looks fucking amazing. You can play at night
does look good.
now.
It looks
You can
like.
play at
It
night
looks
for the
really
first
good.
time.
I mean,
I'm
that
very
changes
hyped for
the
another
loop
Pik-
completely.
I'm
Yeah,
very
that's really
excited
good.
for a new Pikmin game. They also shadow dropped Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Switch as downloads. That's pretty nice. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 coming out October 24th.
Yes.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean,
Pikmin's big.
Still, I'll say it here again. I wish there was something they could do to Metal Gear Solid 1 besides just porting the PlayStation 1 game like
For
they always
sure.
do. Like just
Yeah.
clean it up a little bit.
So,
Or even
I
just
was surprised that we got the announcement for Metal Gear Solid Delta. Is that what it's called? Right?
yeah.
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 Delta, but
Triangle.
not like a triangle, not a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, because I feel like that would be such low hanging fruit. I feel like it's an easier game to remake. It's so much smaller
I
in
think there's
scope.
apprehension because they've already technically remade it, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like it's maybe
And
they
that
don't wanna-
could, yeah.
they don't want to risk it, like being accused of remaking a game twice.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I
that
don't
being
know.
said, they've re-released HD of not HDified, but like the Metal Gear Solid 3, then Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, and then they re-released it on like with the HD collection. There's like 5 different versions of that game. Like I don't
Right.
think that should be the reason that holds them back.
Yeah.
I honestly think they would get so much nostalgia factor from
Absolutely.
honestly, the reason they're probably not doing it is because a majority of the players aren't going to have a game case to look on the back of to get Meryl's codec number.
Oh,
Google.
I think
They
it's
should
probably
just, like,
because
they'll
a
have
lot
to
of
log
this
into the
work-
website, look at the screenshots.
I think it's just not going to be as significant of a remake in terms of like
No, I get it.
redesign as maybe people are expecting. And
No,
Metal Gear Solid 1
the-
would need so much more, honestly.
The screenshots
I mean,
from the
they're-
Delta website specifically show like areas from the first part of the game. Like it looks to be a very true geometrically matching design they're
Which is
going
good.
with.
Honestly, since they are doing this, I just really hope that they don't like leave the UI alone, because it's Metal Gear Solid 3 is a flawed game in some ways, especially because you spend so much time going in and out of the menu as you play that
Yes.
game. That they can make it so much better by like keeping that stuff out, some of that stuff out of the menu, especially like the camo shit. and if they don't like touch that at all, I'll be super disappointed.
They need the camo, the medic stuff, and just swapping things out of your backpack needs to be real time.
I will say this: Konami has now demonstrated that this might be part of their overall strategy for making their comeback, because like 2 of their biggest, most hype releases that they have post this kind of like Konami revival is a remake of Silent Hill 2, not Silent Hill 1, and a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 and not Metal Gear Solid 1 or 2. Like they're picking the games that they think right out of the gate will maybe get the most like excitement, because that's what people,
I guess, but I mean, Metal Gear Solid 1, there's just as much love for Metal Gear Solid 1 as there is 3.
I know, but also I do feel like Metal Gear Solid 3 is maybe the more inspired choice. Metal Gear Solid 1 seems like low-hanging fruit. Metal Gear Solid 3 is kind of like,
just shorter and stuff. It's probably like easier to like sell a $60, $70 game from 3 than 1. Probably.
Sure. All right. So Penny's Big Breakaway was the next thing they showed.
Oh, this looks good.
From the Sonic Mania team, coming in early 2024. I don't know how to describe this other than it looks kind of wild and colorful,
it's a 2.5D's platformer in which your big power is you have a yo-yo and you use that for platforming. It looks good. It looks really good.
No, I feel like I need to go back and rewatch that trailer. It does look pretty cool.
Though, right?
Yeah, it's next year.
Don't worry, wrong with Sega?
On a bid.
What is wrong with Sega that they would let the Sonic Mania team go, and they would make the next big 2D Sonic game made by the Balan Wonderworld team? Like, what the fuck were they smoking that day?
That is a choice.
There is hints that maybe the Sonic Mania dude is kind of assisting with that as well. I think they're using the Mania physics engine on that new one.
Hey, I'll give him this. That new 2D Sonic game is someone who doesn't give a shit about Sonic one way or the other. It looks pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like it looks nice. It looks like it probably plays pretty good. Like it looks like it's using, at the very least, it's using Sonic Mania as kind of like its foundation.
I wouldn't bet on it.
But
I would not trust that.
I wouldn't bet on it. They announced a new WarioWare game. I don't know if it has does it have a new title, or is it just called WarioWare?
Yeah.
It's WarioWare Move It.
Yeah,
it's not WarioWare Twisted ported to the Switch, which is all I want. So
it's a WarioWare game specifically focused on Joy-Cons.
I mean, whatever. It's smooth moves too. It's fine.
And then of course they close the show out. Hey, this can't be your motto for the rest of the year, Brad. I wouldn't bet on it,
especially now that my list is done.
Yeah, don't worry, Brad. You can't bid on it anyways. So yeah, they close out the show with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which was also rumored.
This would have definitely gotten all my money if Crispy didn't snipe it.
Yeah. So congratulations, Crispy, you fucker. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's a straight up 2D Mario platformer that looks kind of psychedelic. It has there's an elephant power up.
Elephant thing, and you do the things, and you make the jumps, and there's flowers talking to you and shit. And
there's some.
It's not new Super Mario Brothers.
Right. See,
okay, it's not. Look, there were 4 new Super Mario Bros. Games. 5 if you count Super Luigi U, which people who've played that do count that almost as a different game.
Yeah, there's enough difference in it.
After those games, again, like we were saying with Mario RPG, I was kind of hoping for something that looked a little more different. But I am glad.
So here's my thing, Brad. I do think this looks different, and in my personal opinion, I think it looks different in a bad way. I am not a fan of the art style of this game. I think it looks weird. I don't like I think it looks like a mobile game. Just like the
Yeah.
I know. I think it's just the art style. It makes me think of what was that Super Mario typing game?
Oh God,
that's what it makes me think of.
Oh, this guy on his ivory tower casting aspersions. Don't listen to Nolan.
So, Chris, hold on. The reason I say that is not because you have it. I want this game to do well. I like Mario. I like this style of Mario game. I'm just not a fan of the aesthetic. I like the whole the 2.5D when you're doing stuff in the background and the foreground and the multiplayer aspect. There's a lot of things about this game that I like conceptually. I just don't like the art style.
I think what Nolan here is trying to say is,
Nolan.
I think what Nolan's trying to say is 82.
Cast and
honestly,
aspersions,
2D
haters
Mario
all
games-
abound.
2D Mario games have not scored in the 90s since Yoshi's Island.
I know they're about due. They are about
But
due.
That's how that works.
The people
say-
are ready. The people are
like
ready.
with Armored Core, they're ready. The people are ready for Mario.
The people are ready for a good 95 2D Mario. They're
I will
ready.
say, I think
It's
the
time.
gimmick. I think the gimmick is a fun one, and given
What
that
is
this
the gimmick?
Nintendo, Lord Almighty, Nick.
No, I watched this trailer and I was like, this looks good, but it looks like a fucking 2D ass Mario game.
You
Like,
were
what
barely
is
paying attention, were you?
what
whole
is the
thing
gimmick?
Is that there's like a trippy flower. I forget what it's called, but once you get that thing in a level, like it goes like it's like you're eating mushrooms, huh? Like it gets all psychedelic and crazy and like unpredictable. Like watch that trailer again.
Okay, I'll watch it
I
again.
think
Is,
they're gonna do some really.
is this gonna be
fun
rated
things.
teen for drug use?
I mean, might as well be,
E10,
right? I mean, Mario
E10.
always has been. Yeah, shit gets crazy and unpredictable, and
E10
that's what
these
they're really
nuts.
leaning into. And if
Damn.
anything that Nintendo and the Mario teams are good at, it's like variety and like coming up with
No,
like
for
really
sure.
crazy ideas and stuff. And I think the vibes are really positive. I think the movie this year was huge. This thing's going to
For
do
sure.
really well.
So,
And I think people are going to be much happier about this game than they were about the last few new Super Mario Bros. Games.
Happy to get like an 85.
I don't know how it's going to
I think
score. I
better
want it
than
to do
that,
well.
honestly.
I think
High
it might.
80s.
And like I said, I'm not trying to. I hope the game's good. I hope we've only seen a fraction of the craziness that's going to happen. I'm sure it's going to be fun. Like I said, my only complaint is I just don't like the art style.
What if the game comes out in October and like the first level is 2D and then all of a sudden it's like boom, surprise bitches, this is the full 3D Mario game and then they have to switch it back to me. Okay, actually, that wouldn't work.
Oh, Nick, I like
Yeah,
to
you-
dream too.
We all want things in life.
Wouldn't that be a twist? All right.
Before we move on, I did want to shout out one game that we did not mention. They revealed a remake of Star Ocean Second Story.
Oh shit! No,
that
sorry.
Really
that is on my list, and I highlighted it because I am actually really into that. I don't know why I skipped over it. Yes, Star Ocean Second Story is a 2D HD remake coming out November 2nd of Star Ocean 2. I have no history with Star Ocean whatsoever.
Well,
but
I'll say
game,
this. It's a long running series, right? But it's famously like spin-off from the Tales. The reason Tales games and Star Ocean games are so similar is because that team sort of split, and Bad Blood, they both started making the same kind of game. But the thing is, it's always been kind of like a mid-level series. I don't think any game in that series has ever made it into the 80s, but besides maybe Star Ocean 2, which is, I think, almost universally considered the fan favorite, which is probably why they're remaking this one, right?
There is another version. There is another version of Star Ocean 2 that I think is on Open Critic, and I think it has like an 82.
It's on. It was a remake made on the PSP called The Second Evolution.
That's not the one that's an 82. So probably the original PlayStation version is the one that's most well received, I think. And that remake was like, okay. But I think at the time, for that first remake on PSP, they were like, this is still good, but maybe it doesn't really hold up anymore. And I don't know if this new one is going to be like that much better in terms of like, does this hold up?
I think they're banking pretty heavily on like obviously what they've done with the art style, which is they've gone like Octopath Traveler on it and made it look very.
But there's almost like too much bloom for like an action RPG. This is not a turn-based game. There's a lot going on. You got party members. It's like a Tales game, right? So shit's gonna be popping off, and there's so much bloom on these particle effects. Even in the trailer, I'm like, I could barely follow.
Here's what I want to know: is there love for Star Oceans? Maybe specifically, let's just talk about 2. Is there love for? No. Listen, let me get the question out, you bitch. Is there love and reverence for the Star Ocean 2 story? Or is it one of those series where it's like, it's just got a really great combat system, who gives a shit about the story?
Yeah, people like the story.
Okay.
I mean, what do you want me to tell you? I mean, it's an old game. I mean, don't go in expecting the world, but...
I pre-ordered it that day. Like
Yeah,
I am
Star
looking
Ocean
forward to
2 is
this.
cool. It's a cool game. It was cool back in the day, and it'll still be cool. I mean, it just
Okay,
ain't gonna do
okay.
numbers if that's what you're worried about.
No, no, no,
I
no.
don't think it will.
I'm only asking because I am actually interested in playing this, but I also
Yeah, I
am
don't
not
know,
the kind
Nick.
of per-
I mean,
like, I
if
need to
you had to
be.
choose between like this and like Octopath Traveler 2 or whatever retro RPG, Sea of Stars, this probably ain't the one for you. I think this is more for the fans, but it is exciting.
Let me tell you, I played that Sea of Stars demo, and I am fucking hype
Yeah, but
for
we're
that
living in a
game.
post
Don't say it. Don't say it, Brad.
chained
Don't
Echoes world.
don't fucking say it. I don't want to hear that shit.
My writing
I
is a
am
little
fucking.
funky.
I'm fucking hype as shit for Sea of
It's
Stars.
pretty, but we'll see.
It's pretty and it plays well. Like it feels so good. Like I'm super
Yeah,
ready
it
for it.
doesn't feel as good as Chained Echoes.
You're only
It's
saying
moving.
that because it's on my fucking list and not on
No,
yours.
I'm saying that.
Uh-huh.
No,
I've
he's
been
been saying that for a while.
I've been saying
Whatever.
that far before Fantasy Critic that I worry about all indie JRPGs especially, honestly.
Speaking of,
And usually it comes down to like writing and how much are they going to put in there and how fucking good at that are they, because
Yeah.
if they ain't that good, don't put that much in there.
That's the problem with a lot of indie JRPGs is there's a whole lot of text to read. None of it is vocalized, and 80% of it's irrelevant.
I will
And so
say
yeah,
a
it can
really
get
pretty
tough.
one from a year and a half ago or whatever that you picked up, Nick, I think.
wait, what's the question?
Eastward or Eastbound or
Oh,
something?
Eastward on Switch.
Eastward.
Right.
Everyone was like, "Oh, this is so beautiful. I love it." And then like no one finished it because it was too long-winded and it wouldn't stop
Mhm.
talking. This is what I worry about for these
Eastward is the Skinamarink of. I'm sorry,
Okay.
of indie RPGs. I'm sorry. I was okay. Moving on. Speaking of indie games, Annapurna had a showcase today. This will be really quick because they do pretty short showcases, and usually a lot of it's pretty small stuff. But they opened with Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which I know is kind of a big deal, right? People have been looking forward to that for a while.
Well,
I wasn't aware of this
there's people in our community, and I've been looking for it. I've had this on my short list since we did the draft. Honestly, I almost drafted it, but didn't have a date. I mean, the developer Simogo has put out like a lot of really cool games.
Your Walk.
Year Walk. I really like Sayonara Wild
Oh.
Hearts. Device 6 is like a super cool game if you've never.
Device 6 is the one I was trying to think of.
Year Walk is so fucking good.
Yeah, like this is like a really cool, innovative, stylish developer that honestly always puts out like weird, different, cool games. And I know we still don't know much about this one. I think the trailer today made it even more confusing, but I mean, I'm excited. Like, I trust most things that this developer tries to put out. So
It looks
Right.
sick as hell.
We got a new trailer for Cocoon with a release date, like I mentioned earlier, for September 29th. Again, I cannot stress this enough. I'm so mad at you, Nolan, but that game, one way or the other, regardless of Fantasy Critic, that game looks like fire. I can't fucking wait. It's kind of low-key. It's low-key one of my more anticipated games of the fall, and I think that's saying something because there is a lot on the schedule between now and the
I
end of
think
the
we
year.
were all super positive on it when we first
When
saw
it was first, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
made a super great first impression.
Yeah.
And people have been raving about this because they were doing hands-on demos at Summer Game Fest and stuff, and this was one of the games that was most commonly talked about. So very very much looking forward to it. Boo you, Nolan. Boo you. Lush Foil photography sim, about as indie as you get.
That looks cool.
I hope it has a
cool.
photo
It's
mode.
like
Looks chill.
that's a funny joke, Chris Davis. The whole game's a photo mode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like indie games if you're into like photography. There's a lot of cool stuff out there.
They also announced a game called To a T, which I think is like the joke where like the main character is constantly in the T pose, right?
Yes.
Like he lives in the
That
T
is
pose.
the joke.
Looks
This is a
pretty
Davis game,
clever.
sounds like.
Well, it's from the director of Katamari Damacy, right?
Is
What?
that the
Is it
Katamari
really?
Damacy? Somebody's
Takahashi?
somebody fact check Chris
Let-
Davis on
let
this
me
one.
double check.
I don't know
I'm
if I believe
pulling up.
that.
It's
It's from Keita Takahashi.
What?
It's his indie
That's
studio.
cool.
That's
That's
fucking okay. Okay, cool.
Let's have some
cool.
wild shit.
Looks funny as hell. Okay, they also showed Flock, which looks chill.
Flock?
Yeah,
Block?
the bird game.
Yeah, where you just kind of
Oh,
chill
that's
out
right.
and
That's right.
I
that
feel
game
like
looks-
1 in 5 games that have been announced over the past month and a half have been marketed as chill fun times. And
yes, and I
Yeah,
think
dude.
this.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
very
The
popular.
world
sure.
fucking sucks. We need some chill fun times.
Also, I think
People make cozy
Annapurna.
games because Stardew Valley made $1 billion, so now everyone makes cozy games.
I do think Annapurna has kind of like, not entirely, obviously, that's not like everything that they do, but Annapurna has like, that's kind of their niche, like the thing that they've like specialized in. They do a lot. They do so many just kind of like chill little indie games. They announced a game called Ghost Bike, which looked like a I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Help me out here. I don't know.
The French bicycle race they do, the marathon.
Tour de
one.
France.
Tour de France.
Yeah, it's like a Tour de France thing.
Except
but
you're
something
like
about
a
the guy's
ghost
dead.
possessing a bicycle or something. I don't know.
I don't know. The art style's beautiful. I mean, it looks kind of cool. I don't know what to think of this. I don't know. Whatever. It's Ghost Bike. I'm gonna keep my eye on it because it looks cool. But I don't.
I think it's like Ratatouille, but you're a ghost controlling a bike.
Looks like a cozy bike game.
Cozy bike game. They had a dev diary thing about We Kill Monsters, which is from the indie studio that made a game called Ita, I believe was what it's called.
Yes.
And this is supposed to be kind of like a he actually used the word Monster Hunter like, which seems cool. I don't.
Nick, I don't mean to shove a stick in your spoke or whatever. I'm
But
surprised you're
going
going line
to?
by line on this Annapurna thing. To be honest,
Okay, fine.
Is there anything like else stand out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How they ended it.
They ended it with a huge announcement. The one of the creative leads that worked primarily on Edith Finch is leading the team that's developing their first internally developed Annapurna game. As in not published. This is built entirely in-house. And it's a Blade Runner game. Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Is it a point and click adventure?
No,
We
I
don't
don't
know.
think so.
It doesn't
we don't
look
know.
like
I mean,
I don't know. I think it might be. I think it's gonna be some kind of like visual novel kind of thing, but it looks cool.
I mean, I'm
Because
pretty
the whole
excited for
thing,
this.
the whole idea is it's like it looks like the character is like one of those like memory editors, like the girl in 2040, 2049. So it looks.
I want to know more about this. They're obviously making a big deal out of it. I have a feeling this is maybe bigger in scope than like what we might be jumping to conclusions, because this was kind of the linchpin of their entire showcase. They're like, get ready for our biggest announcement we've ever made, kind of thing. And I don't think anybody saw Blade Runner coming, and they tapped talent who worked on Edith Finch specifically, which is obviously a really big deal. So I think this may be bigger than we expect.
The full title is Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth.
Yeah. Did I not
Crispy,
say
to
that?
what you said earlier about being a memory editor, what if this was like a Blade Runner version of her story?
I don't know. I mean, it looks like it could have that kind of vibe to it.
That sounds rad, actually. Awesome. But yeah, they didn't say anything else about release window or time, or it was just a really slick, stylish trailer. But I almost immediately was like, "Is this Blade Runner?" Like, which I think is a pretty good sign that they have a good grasp on like the IP, because that thought was triggered in my head purely with like audio cues and just some subtle visual effects and whatever. I was like, okay, they're tapping into the same thing that like. You know, when I first saw Blade Runner 2049, I was like, okay, I think they get it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I definitely want to see more about this. But yeah, that was how they closed it. That was the end of it. I won't go through all the other bullets, Brad. But that was really all I had.
I know we got all these games to talk about too. Big games.
We do. So why don't we take a break, and then when we come back, we'll get into it. We're going to talk about Final Fantasy XVI. We're going to talk about Aliens: Dark Descent, Trepang2, Halls of Torment. And of course, we'll wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Yep, you're in it. It's working. Welcome back to the show. we're going to jump right in because, like I said, we got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. And one of the biggest releases of the year, Final Fantasy XVI, is upon us. We talked about the demo 2 weeks ago. I think at this point, a lot of us, I know not all of us, but a lot of us have spent a decent chunk of time with the final release. So why don't we start there? I guess real quick, just so I can get kind of a gauge here. How far are we in this game? I don't want to talk to. I know Nolan, you haven't started it yet, past the demo.
About 8 hours myself.
Okay.
I've completed the second. Well,
see, yeah. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful.
I mean, the whole thing is careful.
Yeah, this is very obviously, especially based on what we played in the demo. If you've tried the demo, it is a very story. I mean, Final Fantasy has always been very story driven, but this is a very cinematic game, and it is one of those things that I feel like it would be easy to spoil certain parts of it.
I did a sequence with Ifrit.
Yes.
Ifrit. Yeah.
Cool. And Chris Davis, have you played it at all?
Not only have I not played it nor purchased it, I have not played a Final Fantasy mainline game since 12.
Okay, for some reason, he's proud of that.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, yeah.
It's just facts. I mean, that's what it is.
It's been just facts. All right. And Crispy, you've played a good chunk of it, right?
I'm about where Brad is.
Okay.
I'm like in the first kind of feels like big open map, maybe.
Okay. So I think I might be just a little bit further than. Well, I mean, there is a moment in this game where you go to a place where it feels distinctly different in terms of like, okay, this is a big open field and I can run around and do things. I mean, it's not massive, but like a lot of the game is kind of on these set very fixed paths, right? It does feel very linear at times, which is something going into it I think we were kind of expecting based on one, what the series has been for a while, and kind of what people from preview events and stuff were saying.
Sort of. Maybe not quite this linear. I mean, we gave 13 such shit for it, and
I do think there is a little bit of a difference between Final Fantasy 13 and what this game is doing, because in 13, so many of those linear pathways were these like pristine, ultra clean, just hallways that you're running down. And this is more like you're running down fixed paths in like a forest, and like your surroundings still feel very like vibrant and detailed and different.
But you still can't go into those environments,
right? I mean, right. And to some extent, I do. And I was saying this prior to release. I was kind of expecting this to be a little bit more similar to Final Fantasy 12 in terms of its world structure, and it's kind of like almost like 12, but also 15. Not quite. I mean, well, 15 was kind of built around. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I still find it hard to kind of remember certain things about 15. Maybe y'all can help me with that. But
I expected the open world areas to be more like they were in 15, like sort of in the first half of that game. And it's definitely not that.
No. Yeah, it is a little bit a new thing in and of itself.
How would y'all compare the size?
Smaller. I mean, and with less to do. It's almost like it doesn't even matter that there's some maps that are big and open. It's very reminiscent of someone in our Discord brought up the Tales of series, like a modern Tales of game, where like there's these big, huge fields, but not much to do except like fight things in.
What's up, Nolan?
So as someone who's only played the demo, but I'm familiar with the series Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Is there like quest boards or
there's hunts like 12?
Yeah, okay, so there's hunts. Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure I'm farther than Brad, and I don't even know what he's talking about in terms of the quest boards.
No. That's just from what I've talked about. No. From what I've heard about the game is hunts are the thing to do. There are side like out in the world, as far as like in 12, basically. From what I understand, they're similar to 12. There are side quests, but they are very much. That's sort of the thing about this game.
Okay,
we should get into it. They're a lot like the side quests in Final Fantasy 14.
Okay,
all the quests in Final Fantasy 14.
What I want to say, and I am still okay. I do want to start maybe by saying that like my overall opinion of this game is very positive. I'm very much having a good time. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. The story I think is very engaging. I'm loving that aspect of it. But maybe ever since Final Fantasy kind of made the shift towards the jump to like fully voiced and you know, bigger and bolder or whatever, I feel like it's almost like playing two different games when you go from doing anything that's kind of related to or tangentially related to the main quest to doing side quests. Like suddenly it feels like the budget just plummets.
It's not
Really?
it have you so what Nolan, you haven't played any Final Fantasy 14, have you?
None at all.
But Nick, you've played some, and of Crispy, you've played a ton. But y'all have heard me rant about how like every quest structure in that game is go to this waypoint, talk to this person, go to this waypoint, talk to this person. All of the side stuff, and even a lot of the stuff in the campaign. I mean, the main quest line during like your downtime between like those big crazy like story icon battles and the leads up to those. Outside of that, it's like the same type of quest structure. There's just more voice acting and it's prettier, but it is still go here, talk to this person, go here, talk to this person, give this item to this person. And that's like, dude, when I heard about this game, I thought it was going to be like all of the stuff that I didn't want to experience in the MMO, with like all of the good stuff with the bad stuff removed, which is a lot of this tedious, you know, main story quest grinding out these really bad quests, like a Realm Reborn stuff. I don't know what it's like after that, but it's go here, talk to this person, go here, talk to this person. It's like, why can't it just be the good stuff? Make a shorter game. It would be like a beautiful version of Asura's Wrath if they only had the stuff we really wanted.
I do want to say I think it is maybe, I think we are still, all of us, probably a little too early to be like truly judging the game on that regard.
What do you? I mean, this style of like quest design and like down moments, like between those big icon sequences.
No. I get it. No, I get it. But like, to some extent, I do still feel like, and I know I'm not really, but I do kind of still feel like I'm in like the beginning of this game, and like I still feel like there are systems and payoffs and stuff that they've kind of hinted at and teased, but I don't know what to do with them yet because I'm not far enough. Like, I've found things kind of exploring, like, in fact, if you were watching the footage at all, I just found this thing that's kind of this like stone that's kind of hidden, tucked away in the on this like path in the forest, but I couldn't interact with it. Like I touched it and he was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, I saw that too.
And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I feel like that's probably gonna come.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing a side quest is going to take you there. It reminds me very much of well, God, not even that, but basically, if you're ever going to find anything interesting in the world, a quest is going to take you there. Like, I feel like there's zero reason to actually explore.
There was
really
there was one instance where I tried to kind of like, so like when I got to that big open area, right, I went around and I actually spent like an hour just grinding and like getting points so I could unlock new abilities in my skill tree, which was great. I had a really great time doing that. But as a result of doing that, I explored this entire open field area, just kind of naturally looking for things to kill. And then I went back to town. I saved, blah blah blah, and then I went and I was like, I fast travel and then come back so like everything respawns. And I go out there and I do like a quest, and the quest line takes me to this thing that I found while I was exploring, but I couldn't do anything with because obviously I wasn't on the right quest line. And I was like, I feel like that was it was a little bit of a bummer because I was like, when I first found this thing, I think I was supposed to experience it with like the context, you know, with like the story kind of telling me what's going on here and what is this building, what's the significance of it. But I couldn't do any of that when I was just grinding out in the world. And I think that's just a byproduct of the fact that like it's this awkward period between two generations of Final Fantasy where it was like it used to be it used to be simultaneously much bigger because everything was less expensive and it was a lot easier to make a game that was bigger with more content because it didn't have to look quite as pretty. And now like they've significantly ratcheted up the budget. Everything looks kind of amazing, but like all these areas, it's a bit more of a claustrophobic experience, which
it does. I do want to admit, because I feel like I've kind of slagged the look of this game. It's mostly like the character models and stuff, but like this is, you know, that was mostly just watching trailers, but like seeing the actual game running in front of me, it is a really beautiful game, no doubt. Um, it still has that thing that I feel like Final Fantasy has had since Final Fantasy 15, where you have very detailed main characters that look like they're cool vampire knights with their ridiculous outfits, right?
And
then you
NPCs
go
look
into
like
a
trash.
town and it's like this dude shops at Walmart. 15 had it. 7 remake had it, which is crazy because there's so much nostalgia in that game. And this game has it too.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does this dude, he's balding and he's wearing Walmart clothes and I'm supposed to care about this character? What is it? Just seems weird.
That
It
was
seems
rough,
weird.
Brad. Jesus.
Well,
Nothing wrong.
I shouldn't have to see myself in the game. This is insane. Are they trying
Okay.
to say something about like is there something meta going on here?
At least you admitted that you see yourself in that character, okay? That's all I'm saying. What I wanted to say was I kind of had this concern playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? Because I really enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Remake for all the reasons everybody did, right? But I remember distinctly thinking to myself, these side quests and these characters that you meet on the side are just so boring and dull and the worst.
They're even worse here, though. I mean, like,
It's the
so some
worst.
people say the stories, especially if you're doing side quests for some of the more important characters, are good, but the stuff you're doing on those quests is fucking dull. It
All
is
right.
walking to waypoints and talking to people and giving people items every single fucking time, and sometimes fighting some things.
Okay, so let's kind of shift gears because again we have a lot to talk about tonight. I do want to make sure we take a second to mention talk about the combat. I think now that I've spent way more time with it, I now have technically three icons associated that I can use freely, and I finally got a feel for kind of how you switch back. So I don't think you have the third one I'm referring to, based on where you said you are. There is a very significant moment where you kind of get a third one. And it unlocks is it spoilers to say like there's a limit break ability in this game?
Spoilers.
No, I got that.
Okay.
The saying there's limit breaks in Final Fantasy is not a spoiler.
I know, but
control
like
scheme tells you how to activate limit breaks.
Okay. So
the story moment that is involved with doing your first limit break is hilarious. Well, I don't know, or like emotional and
what do you mean?
Depending on how you feel about it. The click R3 and L3 to I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say the line.
I'm struggling to remember what you're talking about here.
Oh my god! It's like a QTE prompt when you're fighting a certain more emotional, metaphorical fight.
Oh yeah.
And you do your first limit break. Oh man!
I'm just trying to figure out what Brad's laughing at because I certainly didn't have those vibes.
That's the thing. The game is very melodramatic and very almost like anime in terms of like how
don't say that.
Emotional, not emotional, but you know, it's very like over the top, and it rides a line to where it's like, you know, it rides that line to where it's almost kind of like silly, right?
Right. Okay, I'm with you.
I'm fine with it, but like my wife is kind of laughing a lot. Which is fine because if you're not used to that sort of thing, or if you haven't like embraced that sort of thing, it can come off as a little silly.
Sure,
but
absolutely.
That moment was kind of like the actual like text next to the prompt. It was kind of hilarious.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I'm here for it. I'm here for it myself.
Yeah. So just as far as combat goes, because obviously that's the big sticking point for a lot of people, because obviously there's the ongoing debate of like Final Fantasy used to be an RPG and this is so light on the RPG mechanics. Like,
I mean,
like,
this feels like not. It feels like it doesn't feel like an RPG. It feels kind of like God of War Ragnarok or something, honestly. In its structure, kind of like what it's trying to do. I should say that when you're not doing like very inane fucking side quests, but you know, kind of in the moment to moment in like the main stuff, it feels kind of like God of War. It's definitely not an RPG or anything.
I think the thing that's making me kind of draw those comparisons is more along the lines of like, typically in these games, RPGs, you get to a point where it's like you have a choice, you have an inventory with like all these different weapons and all these different like things you can equip, and in this game you kind of unlock one and you wear it for a while, and then you inevitably get one that's stronger, and then you never really touch anything again. Which,
with the exception of like maybe some accessories I've heard you can get later. Definitely nothing I have now. It's like an 8% boost to this skill. It's bad. That stuff's
right.
bad. And like especially like the swords and stuff. Like I got a sword from after beating like the big first like icon thing, which is Garuda, and it was like green, in the menu, and it looked cool, and it was like +5 damage. And then like the next time I went to the shop at the base, there was just like an iron sword or some shit that was like already more damaging than that. And I'm like, what are they doing here? This feels like a huge fumble. Even something like a God of War is a little bit more like graceful with the way they're handling like armor and sets and stuff. Like it feels like they like Sony Santa Monica put more thought into like their whole like equipment and skill system and stuff than the entire like Final Fantasy 16 team did with this game.
I will
It's
say this,
insane how like unimportant that stuff feels.
but caveat again, want to remind everybody we're still pretty early. This
Sure.
like in-game stuff could be totally different. But I do want to say like the actual feel of the combat, albeit very, very, very feels very Devil May Cry-esque, is fucking fun as hell. I'm loving it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm alone in that, but like,
No, I have fun, especially in like the one-on-one fights, boss fights where
the
you're
fucking
fighting like
timing,
people's
the
enemies.
time dodges and parries feel
I-
so good.
Yeah,
and-
I feel like
I-
once they start giving you mechanics, it gets like really
Yeah.
easy to be like slick and cool and have fun with it. I don't, dude.
I think
don't
that's
know.
the more
This
important
whole
thing here, because when you combine
Fighting
that
mobs of
with the
enemies, though,
story, like,
No, sure, and that stuff is the best. But I think when you're fighting just like random mobs of enemies, like that's not honestly that exciting to me. The camera's kind of all over the place. I see potential in the combat like constantly, and I do really like how cool looking those one-on-one cinematic fights can look and feel. But one of my big issues with the combat system is just how much control you don't have over inputs. I feel like just like honestly with like the progression and the itemization and stuff, I feel like the way they laid out the moves and stuff on this controller seems like in some cases pretty poor. And the fact that they don't give the player any control over customizing that is fucking insane to me, because I see the potential here, but I get so frustrated because I can think of a layout that is so much better than all the ones that are available for me, and I can't get it how exactly I want with the 3 options that they give me, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I can't have a setup where I can, like, you do a lot of like swapping between like melee and magic, but you can charge both of those, right? And
right.
if you want to be able to charge both of them at the same time, you kind of need them to like they can't both be on face buttons, right? But if they're not both on face buttons, then now you're switching icons on face buttons, which also doesn't feel right. Like I can't get it perfect. And one of the things you can say, and same goes with the HUD, almost no customization at all. One thing you can't say about Final Fantasy 14 is that doesn't have a ton of amazing controller options. You can absolutely, in a game with so many skills, an MMO with so many skills and a crazy ass battle system, you can get like the controller set up to to do what you want to do like perfectly in like a really satisfying way. And here I'm so frustrated that
take
there's not
years.
those kinds of options here.
I do imagine that is benefiting
Oh,
from like the years and years and years it took to like kind of hone that to where it
right.
to where it is
But
today.
I don't want to wait years and years and years for
Right.
Final Fantasy 16 to become good. This is a single player RPG.
Yeah.
I want it to be good now. And like one of the things that they like for example, the way you switch icons, the feedback on that could be so much better. I'm so mad that it's not just, which a lot of action RPGs do, where you hold the shoulder button and that brings up like a set of skills and abilities instead of like toggling through them. Do you know once you get like a third icon set, it becomes like 3 that you have to cycle through, which that breaks like a character action game like no. You never go more than 2 because you always want to know you're on either one or the other. Once you're cycling through 3, you're constantly going to be like, which one am I on? Which one am I on? You need to be able to know what skill you're doing at the press of a button without ever having to stare at the UI. And here,
right,
with the way you cycle through with a toggle, especially once you get to 3, it's not good. I really wish they had it to where if you held down a trigger, now your face buttons are like Garuda abilities, right? And if you hold down like the right trigger, now all of a sudden they're like Titan abilities. And if you let go, you go back to like Phoenix abilities or something, which is honestly the kind of control setups you could do in 14. And I'm so mad they're not here because I want to like this battle system, but I'm I'm just getting mad at the controls all the time. And I feel like no matter what A, B, or C I set it to, I compromising something. There's like one thing I can't do easily anymore, and it's really frustrating.
Okay, so let's just kind of in the interest of time, because we're obviously going to revisit this. Is there anything else we want to say right now? Say, because this is kind of more. This is more or less our first impressions, right? Because we still got a lot of game left.
True. Prince of the Universe brings up a really good point in chat. The game is extremely easy.
Oh, really?
It is so forgiving. There are probably like 12 checkpoints in a boss battle. Maybe not that much, but I've died like just from not using potions where I'm accidentally, again, a weird control thing. I'm accidentally on my dog instead of my potions. And I'm like, or vice versa. Oftentimes I'll think I'm doing combos with the dog and I'm just wasting all my potions. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why did they do it this way? So I've died, but they checkpoint so often. I feel like even when you die in the most epic moments, you lose like no progress. It goes back to like, right where you were. And it's like, what are the stakes here? In the game, they're everything, but to the player, it's like, can you even lose this game?
I kind of want to just say that, like, because I think this game does a lot right. And we haven't really said anything about the story, and that's fine. But like, it kind of just
this stuff out, though.
It kind of just feels like the consensus is that it's clumsy, maybe clumsier than we would like.
It's clumsy, a little,
but not bad, just clumsy
in ways. And then you get into like these story icon battles, and it's like the most beautiful, most insane thing you've ever seen, and you're like, I can't believe this game is doing this.
And it's done so many cool things so far, just in terms of its characters and its world. That like, and I hope that stuff can I hope it can kind of stick the land. I hope it can maintain that level of intrigue throughout. There's a couple things that have happened that I was really into, but I'm also like, what does this have? What is the implications this has for the story? And can the story ever really be the same anymore after doing some of these things? I think y'all were talking a little bit about one of them in Discord the other day. And I don't know. Like, this has the potential to be a fantastic story.
Yeah, don't get me started on Benedicta. Jesus.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
Yeah.
Did you do your first dungeon? Because that was rancid.
That's the thing. That's the thing I'm afraid of most is like the story not hitting, because 14's story is like, I don't know, at this point it's like so special to me. Like,
yeah,
it's like I was telling somebody it's my favorite anime. Like, it's.
I mean, part of me has to imagine that, like, on some level it's gonna nail the land, because it's had such just the way the story unravels in the first 15 hours of gameplay is like pretty magical.
Yeah,
and they're doing things that to me seem very bold and unexpected, even if my first reaction is like, oh no, like
the two things story wise that have me a little like, what's going on here? The Benedicta thing was very much, I felt like, I was like, oh, this is a classic 14 story beat. Like, okay, we're gonna, like, this character is gonna, and like, people aren't what they seem at first blush, kind of thing. And then it's just like, not
over.
that. Yeah. And it was like, oh, what? Like some of my favorite moments from 14 are like, they do that Jaime Lannister thing, right? Where they like introduce somebody that is fucking horrible, and then they spend hours and hours and hours and hours, and they like really make you like care about them. you know? And then all of a sudden they're like, you're rooting for people. I mean, and like when they talk about this story being like very Game of Thronesy, like that's the kind of stuff I expect. That's the kind of stuff that I think is interesting, is like imperfect people in horrible situations and like the humanity of that, right? Like how people are affected by their circumstances and how they kind of rise above them, right? The other thing that I think is a little weird, and like we were talking about it in Discord about the idea that like there's not a lot of people of color in this game, which is one thing. Which is one thing that's like a really worthwhile discussion. The other thing too is that like there's a lot of like, you know, you're almost like, I hate being in the position where like I'm playing this game and there's like these story beats coming up and I'm like, oh man, like
Slavery.
yeah, if there were people of color in this game, that this stuff might be even weirder. like the whole like bearer slavery thing is like, it's really heavy-handed and it's really like I don't know how to feel about it right now. Like I just don't know what.
No,
I don't know what they're trying to say, you know?
Which you know, maybe is a perfect reason why we should all just spend some more time with the game and then come back to it.
Yeah.
Because
but like it's not a good look yet.
No. You're right. You're absolutely right. But we do have 3 other games to talk about, so maybe like we're all gonna keep playing it.
Yeah.
And we'll have more to say about it after we've. And I hope those things that we're maybe a little worried about kind of pay off and make more sense after spending more time with it. But you know, only time will tell. We shall see. We will definitely revisit this. Nolan, I hope you get a chance.
Sprinting! Oh my god!
That's what I was gonna say. Sorry. The final, the sprint thing, right? Like you know how Clive, when he's running around the world, looks exactly like fucking Dante running around a Devil May Cry game. And then all of a sudden I find out the sprint works just like Devil May Cry, where it's like there's no sprint button. You just have to run a certain amount of distance in a particular area, and then after running uninterrupted, then he starts sprinting. I was like, that is Devil May Cry to the T.
It's awful.
It's insane.
Part of me kind of understands the like psychology of like, well, you know, what's like. Like why would a game have sprinting? Why wouldn't the characters just move at the speed that you want them to move, right? But I'm so fucking conditioned for it at this point that like you gotta have a button that makes me go a little faster so I can feel something, you know? Like I feel dead inside when he just starts sprinting on his own.
Slade in chat brings this up, and I'm gonna just kind of say this because if there is one thing that Forspoken did right, it is a sense of momentum and movement and freedom of mobility. And like, if you could just take one thing from Forspoken and drop it into Final Fantasy XVI, that would be it. If you could run around as Clive in this world like the character in Forspoken, this game would be fucking wild. I mean, I do kind of think it's already fucking wild, but like,
yeah, and I mean, it's like I tried to do other things. Like I tried to do like his little Ifrit dash, or try to do the little like and the game intentionally like makes that not an option, because like if you do that dash outside of combat, the cool like the animation he goes through is unbearable. Like like the amount of time that you are locked up after you perform that move is unbearable. It's even slower than just letting it do the auto sprint.
Not
you know,
fun game to move around in.
You know,
it's weird.
I do feel like this is another one of those games where it's like maybe we didn't set into it to really sound this negative about it.
In 14, I have a flying car. Like, you know, like
that's true, because the sprint in 14 is like mind-numbingly annoying too.
I mean, at least
let's
yeah.
You know, maybe you'll have a flying car by the end of this, or a flying horse or something. I don't know.
A chocobo.
All right.
It's not my job to shower this game with praise. Like maybe it'll get better later, but like, and there are things I'm enjoying, but there's a lot of things that are bumming me out too.
It is a really confusing conversation for me, because the game feels, there's a lot of stuff that's very 14 about it that I'm not excited about here, that aren't really a problem for me in 14, and like I don't know, it's just kind of giving me like existential crises like
There are
left and
things.
right.
Yeah. In 14, let me tell you, you know what you could do in 14? You can make yourself look like anything you want.
Yeah, and
Okay?
look fucking
You can't
sick
even
as
change,
hell. The
can't even change
glam
your
in
armor.
14, so hard.
You can't even change your armor.
Yeah.
Oh.
I could be like a cool fucking steampunk elf dude with a gun blade in 14.
All right, let's
I don't
not
know.
talk about this game until we're all finished
You're
with
right.
it.
You're right. You're right.
Like, let's do the big
You don't
picture
have
and then talk
anything
about
nice
it.
to say. Don't say anything at all. That's what you're
No,
saying. Nick.
No, I don't know
No,
if you've been
it's
listening to what I've been
this is
saying.
good
I've been.
time.
I mean, I certainly have my my hesitation with it as well. I agree with everything that has been said here about it.
Your
But at the same
reservations.
time, I also feel like this could absolutely be one of my favorite games of the year in some weird way. I just.
Yeah,
But it's also way too early to tell. I don't know. And
Oh, Dave the Diver.
it's no Dave the Diver. We can all agree on that. It's no Dave the Diver. All right.
Dave.
Let's shift gears a little bit. We've been talking a lot. I want to I want to pass it over to Chris Davis to tell, because I want to hear about Aliens Dark Descent, Chris, because I know you were on the fence about playing this or Trepang2, and I was
Yes.
waiting to see what you picked because I knew those were the two games that you were deciding between, and I was going to do whichever one you didn't. And you went with Aliens Dark Descent.
I did. Like I wanted to play Trepang2 because of that nostalgia for fear, but also I wanted to see what this Aliens game was. And it turns out to be a pretty good Aliens game.
Yeah, the word on the street about this game has been pretty good. You know,
It is
unexpectedly good.
Yeah, it is a very interesting blend of the kind of metagame management of XCOM, which is what you're seeing right now, with real-time tactics that are similar to what Mimimi does with their games, Shadow Tactics and Desperados 3. It is a really good blend. I like it. I completed it yesterday. I put about 32 hours into it.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I didn't.
It is something. It is cool.
And the amount of time that Chris Davis spent 32 hours playing, I've put about 5 hours into Trepang2.
Oh, get the fuck on the ball, Nick. So
I'm working on it.
This game is pretty cool. To summarize the premise, you play somebody who was an administrator for the company. And aliens break out on the space station you're on, which looks very much like Sevastopol. She enacts the Cerberus Protocol, which is to quarantine the entire planet and system to make sure no aliens get off the station, get off the planet. As a consequence of that, there was a Marine cruiser that was nearby that was kind of patrolling. They got shot down too. So you crash land with them on the planet and you're trapped there. And the whole loop of the game is exploring what happened with the aliens on the planet and trying to find a way to get off the planet. The first third of the game, and I will say the most tedious part of the game for me was like the first two missions, the tutorials, because they really want to hold your hand and guiding you on what you should be doing. Not saying it's linear, but it feels linear. It really opens up starting with mission 3. It's the first third of the game is you exploring like your first town, sending your Marines out to explore the area, and then building your foundation for the rest of the game. When you hit about the third of the way through the game, that's when the true experience pops up, because you get a lot more control. But they introduce, like in XCOM, a end game timer state that you have to be constantly aware of. So it is a race against time to build up your resources, build up your Marines.
I think Brad just heard that and was like, "Well, I'm never playing this."
Well, I'm sorry, Brad, but it's a race against time to build up the Otago, your ship, get the resources you need, build up your Marines to go out and complete all these story missions, and get out before the planet is basically destroyed.
And what happens if you don't? Like, is it just like an actual fail state? You have to start the whole game over again if you don't.
That's my understanding. Yes, like it's game over. You've lost. The really cool thing about this game is that you are going back to these maps fairly often, but only at your discretion, because every map is a permanent and fixed in what happens. So the game is specifically designed to where you are not supposed to do every single objective that pops up in a single run of the map. You are supposed to leave and come back, refresh your troops, get them all healed up, and then come back and do more objectives, explore more of the map. And everything on the map that you do there is permanent. So if you lay a mine down, the mine's going to be there the next time you come back. Turrets that you lay down, enemies that were patrolling in an area, they're still there. Things like that.
Are they clear right from the get-go? Like, does the game explain that aspect of it up front so that you don't feel like you had to do everything in one fell swoop, or do they kind of gloss over that?
They could be more clear about it.
I feel like I'm benefiting from you telling me that right now, and I otherwise maybe would not have known that.
Yeah, no, they could be more clear about that. They kind of talk about that, but they don't really go into like the nitty gritty of what you really should be thinking about. This another part of the game you have to think about with your Marines, because you are going back and forth, is that there's a lot of squad and health management for your guys. There seems to be some definite inspiration here also from Darkest Dungeon with your character's mental state. In addition to your health bar and your armor you have, each Marine has a stress bar. And when it hits certain ticks of 100%, they start getting negative attributes, some traumas that do negative, negate some of your stats. And so you have to balance out exploring the map and avoiding encounters. But if you do, your stress meter is going to go up, and it sometimes is best to, instead of going after your next objective, to instead withdraw your Marines from the map and take them back to your base so they can heal physically and mentally. Traits like being clumsy and maybe attracting the aliens in a faster manner, or
this is one of those situations
accuracy,
where if somebody dies, like they're gone.
Yes,
right.
Permadeath is a thing in this game. And there's
do you just like, what if you lose someone, do you replace them with someone else, or is it just like you have a limited number of people at your disposal for the entire game?
So there is a set limited amount of characters you can find on a map. A lot of them are like secondary objectives to find. There's also a between days segment in which there will be random pop-up decisions you have to make. And sometimes those can yield you personnel. So I can tell you right now, you get like a dozen Marines to start, and I only got like 4 or 5 more throughout my entire run.
You got to be careful. That's what you're saying.
You have to be careful. Your Marines can die, and they can die very quickly.
Well, that's good. Those are the kind of stakes I like, even though it's stressful as hell.
This game is all about its stress and managing it and figuring out how to take advantage of your Marines, cycling them in and out of maps, and knowing when it's time to pull out. Like there are so many moments that I had throughout this campaign in which I was like, okay, I've done a lot on this map, but I know my next objective is on a completely different floor of this map. And my guys have 2 ticks of trauma each. I probably should pull out. But there's multiple timers as well, by the way. So not only is there like the in-game timer for the destruction of the planet, there's also the planetary infestation timer. So that's constantly going up as well. And the further it goes up, the more aliens you will find on the map. You have to deal with.
That's kind of cool. Also, another level of stress.
Yes. So
a question I have would be, just on a kind of a very basic level, would you say this makes good use of the brain, like the IP? Like, is this like a good, like, does it capture the atmosphere of the Alien movies really well? Because I feel like that's almost more important than everything else.
I think it captures it in a way, very much yes,
but that's not the most important thing.
But in another way, it's almost to a fault. There is a reverence for the Aliens film to a degree that I think kind of harms it from a production value level.
You're saying that
people are too into that
with
shit.
references. It's filled with references.
There's a metric fuck ton of not only references but lines. Like they recycle lines from Aliens like it's no tomorrow. Every memorable line you can think of from that film is in here, and it's probably said multiple times.
Like all the ones that are in StarCraft.
Wait, when you actually lose a mission, does it go game over, man?
I never got to a point where I lost. Because here's the thing: is that like Mimimi did with their Shadow Tactics and Desperados 3, and what they're going to be doing with Shadow Gambit in a few months. This is a game meant for experimentation and figuring things out. So the game has a very generous autosave system that encourages you to experiment and maybe reload just in case. It gives you like on medium. So part of the difficulty is that depending on difficulty level, it gives you more autosaves. There is no manual save, by the way. But yeah, you gotta kind of figure out when you want to save and through the autosave system.
Hey, it made me really comfortable with. I mean, like I really got into the loop of Desperados 3, and a lot of that had to do with reloading autosaves for experimentation. Like, it was kind of frustrating at first, but once I finally just kind of accepted that was part of the loop, it became super addicting.
This isn't as strong as Mimimi does with their autosaves and encouraging of saves coming, but you kind of do feel it.
God, I hate to derail, but that's hilarious to me given how you feel about Hitman and your refusal to like save scum.
Well, I mean,
talking to Nick.
I mean,
I'm talking to Nick.
No, yeah, you're right, and I don't know what it is. I think in Hitman it just comes down to like every time I die, I feel like it's antithetical to like what the game is trying to make you feel, which is like a improvisational badass Hitman.
And Mimi games have very similar energy in that respect.
Yeah.
You're right, and I'm gonna be honest, Brad. I don't really have a retort to that necessarily to say, but that's just the way it is.
Sure. Sorry, I don't mean to derail.
You're fine. So I did want to mention there's another stress meter in the game. So
what? How many fucking stress meters?
Okay. So this is a mid-mission stress meter that is specifically focused on the aliens. So when you are sighted and attacked by an alien, the hive initiates a hunt for you. So the map will send out aliens at random paces from random spots on the map, searching for you in a particular area where you were caught. Now, you can go and just hold the line and camp there until either the hunt period ends or you kill all the aliens that are coming for you. Problem is that there's a meter. When the hunt begins, a meter starts popping up in the top right. And that is constantly going up until the hunt is interrupted or paused. And the only way to do that is to either hide effectively or to go to a room on the map and weld all the doors and go into a rest state. And that interrupts all the enemies from finding you. Now, it goes from 3 stages. It goes to easy, medium, and hard. And at each stage, each interval stage, the game not only increases the amount of aliens it does, it also does a massive onslaught in which just a fuck ton of them start charging you. So it's really about knowing the map, knowing where to weld doors, and figuring out proper pathing. I'm going
to be honest, this all sounds pretty cool.
It is really, really cool. And again, it's very XCOM light in the meta management system of building up your troops.
Like or light?
Light.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
I was terrible at XCOM.
You're not building up rooms and researching stuff that much, but you are managing your troops, assigning them classes once they level up, giving them perks and abilities and new weapons and stuff like that. So that very XCOM-esque stuff is very alive and prevalent here. But like,
cool.
This game is fucking cool. It's smart what they do with it. I really like it. I mean, even just how much it apes the original film and just how how substantially it wants to shout from the rooftops, yes, this is the Aliens franchise. This is our game.
Does it use like the music and stuff, licensed music from the movie?
You know, Aliens wasn't the first movie, right?
Yeah,
we all know that.
We all know that. Yeah,
it's not the Aliens franchise.
But Aliens and Alien, even though they're part of the same franchise, are very different.
They are, and that's why Aliens is the inferior movie. I said it.
I said no. Oh my god, you agree with me?
Aliens, the second one, inferior. Not as good. Not as good as people.
Alien 3, right?
Oh
no,
God.
Not what we're saying.
maybe the scrapped original script. Oh my God, you guys suck.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's only two movies, and the first one's way better. That's all.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
To one last thing I do want to mention in regards to the adherence to the Aliens license, I do like the fact that evidently, like, all the games that have been coming out over the past like decade and a half are evidently canon for how they organize the world and things like that. Like, Seegson is in here. The Seegson androids are in here. The aliens from Aliens Colonial Marines some of them are in here. Like,
are the Average Joes in here?
The Average Joes are in here. Yes, and in fact,
that's pretty cool.
They serve as engineers that you can rescue on the map if you have a techer, one of the classes you get can go and repair them, and then you can take them back to your APC and extract them, and then they give you resources every day.
That's pretty cool. Chris Davis, before we move on, one question for you, because this is very important because there's some overlap here in some of the Aliens games we've played. Between this and Fireteam Elite, which one's the better Aliens experience?
What? Those are so different.
I know, but I have opinions about Fireteam Elite. I put it down way before Chris Davis. I mean, Chris Davis kept going way past that. And if this is at the same level, I'm trying not to let myself get too excited. But this sounds
so that's a multiplayer co-op Chris Davis type of game. Of course, you put it down before him.
Well, also, Nick, you did quit before the best part of that game.
I know.
So,
I know, but that's not my fault. That's their fault.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. I think they're both very entertaining games.
Oh, that's a cop-out answer.
I think that Dark Descent is a better representation of the idea of an Aliens game from a mechanical perspective. You're going to the planet, you're exploring these dark maps, you're fighting aliens and queens, stuff like that. You're clearing out the infestation and trying to survive as best you can. Fireteam Elite is more of a co-op shooter exploring what it's like to be in that universe, more than a proper story and a proper metagame experience. I'll put it that way.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool.
In other words, anyone who likes Aliens or Alien should play this game. I really think it's really good.
That's me. I'll play this. Okay. I'm gonna talk about a game real quick. Like I said, it was the other game that Chris Davis was considering playing. I picked it up because he didn't. Trepang2. I'll keep this pretty short tonight because I'm still.
It's like Fear, right?
I've only played about 5 hours of this game. It's so But yeah, I played a demo for this last year. I talked about it a little bit. This is an indie project. I still don't know what the fuck the title means. The studio is called Trepang Studios. It's weird. There's actually not a Trepang 1, so it's very confusing.
Maybe it's their second game.
I don't think so.
Studio.
I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, this is very much like an indie spiritual successor to Fear, the original Fear. It feels very like aesthetically speaking, it's going for that kind of neutral office building kind of vibe. Except for this, I finally got to a level that doesn't kind of have the Fear aesthetic. This is where I'm capturing footage here, which is kind of nice. But mechanically speaking, it's super rooted in what they were going for with Fear in terms of just being very, very fast paced, reactionary gunplay with lots of slowdown mechanic and honestly kind of the thing that separates this the most, I would say, and I'll be honest, I'm not a Fear expert or anything. There's probably people who have analyzed that game to death because it has such kind of a historic just
I mean, it was kind of revolutionary for
feel.
its time with its AI and stuff like that.
No, absolutely, and there are things like when I'm playing this game, there are times where I'm like, I can kind of see that some of that greatness from Fear. It's not quite as obvious because, like, at least not so far. Again, I'm still pretty early, but like, there are moments in Fear where I'm like, I didn't know enemies in video games could do this dynamically. It's crazy. Like, this guy just snuck up behind me, he flanked me, and I had no idea he was there. That's crazy, and that kind of happens in this game. But this particular game is so action focused, because the thing that I think made Fear work so well is because it had kind of that underlying horror element with Alma, and it was kind of pacing itself. So like there would be times where you're walking around and there's not a lot of action happening, and then all of a sudden, boom, it happens. This feel like if you're watching this footage, like sometimes it's just chaos for like 15 minutes straight. These are pretty big levels. I've only done 2 so far, and like I spent 45 minutes, I think, or more in each level, and then there's like this hub area. You kind of go back to this like base area in between missions to like change your loadout and pick your side. You can pick side missions, and it has like a world map, and you can kind of go around the different places in the world before moving on to like other main missions. But like it's so much more action heavy. It's so much more chaotic, and I feel like they didn't want to ape Fear entirely. You can tell they're like, well, we can't do the Alma thing, and I feel like that really sucks because there are quote unquote like supernatural elements in this game, but it's a poor substitute for Alma, because Alma is so iconic and terrifying, and the way she was utilized was so amazing that it's really disappointing, at least so far, when you get to a point and you realize kind of like the supernatural element in this game is more or less like crazy zombie creatures that just run at you, right?
I did not need to hear you say that.
I mean, they were in the demo. Like, they hinted these things
didn't play
in the demo.
I only got through like the tutorial area of the demo, so
I
got past the elevator area, and that was it.
I mean, you didn't think there was a supernatural element in this game? I'm not telling you what they are, but like, they're not ghostly. They're not little ghost girls following you around, right? It's just another enemy type, and it's you know. And I don't know where the story is going. I'm obviously not really particularly playing this for the story, but like, combat in this game does feel really fucking good. And it's been a long time since I've played Fear, and I don't remember specifically how kind of like the focus, like earning focus works in that game, or if that was even on like a system where you had limited focus. I don't remember. But in this game, you have to fill your focus meter by killing enemies, and that dictates how long you can like slow down time. So the longer the quicker you can take out enemies, the longer you can stretch those moments out farther and farther and farther. And when everything is moving in slow-mo, it just feels like it's bliss. It's just things are exploding, papers are flying everywhere, wood is splintering, people are doing like backflips and shit, blood spraying everywhere. It's crazy. It's wild. But the thing I will say, and I kind of had this realization when I was playing the other night, I was like, this feels to me like, because I feel like Fear was such a important name in like this genre back in the day, that like this would be like the equivalent of like a modern day. This is gonna be weird. This is a bit of a deep cut. A modern day Black, if you remember that game.
Okay.
You know, just because it's going for something familiar, and it's pretty good at it, but you can also tell that it's kind of mimicking something else. But you know, in the moment, it's super fun, and like you get really distracted by like all the
Fear clone that's in development.
Is there two? There's another.
There's another one. There's another one. It's a little more pixely, but it is one of these.
I don't know, but that sounds awesome. Maybe somebody in chat knows.
It's retro looking. The other one is the one I was kind of like, that's the one.
Oh, are you talking about Sulaco? No, Sulaco's not it.
Yeah, no, I think that's the one.
Oh, okay. Well, Sulaco is very different, because I feel like that. I mean, that's more of like a Duke Nukem or a Doom.
Yeah, that's a
clone.
build engine game.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it does kind of have it. He is right. I did play the demo for Sulaco, and I honestly, if Sulaco was announced, if a release date was announced for Sulaco right now, I would bid on that in a heartbeat, because that game is awesome, and I think it's going to be great.
That's great. Yeah, I loved playing the demo.
but I think this is going for something a little bit different. But I'm gonna keep going. I don't have much to say about it right now beyond that. And honestly, I think any conversation about this game is gonna be kind of diluted down into like, well, how does it compare to Fear in terms of like the supernatural stuff, and how's the enemy AI, because that was such a big deal. And it's like in like in every area, it's kind of like, well, it's not as good as Fear because Fear's gonna be a hard one to beat, but
that 2005 video game.
Yeah, a 2005 video game is gonna be hard to beat. But I'll tell you what, this game has the right idea. It has the right spirit. Like, you can tell there is a reverence for Fear, and that's what they wanted to capture. And I think they do a pretty good job so far. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going with this, and I guess I'll probably won't mention this again until I finish it, and I'll just have some final thoughts on it later. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. It's called, and again, for those of you who are like, what is this game called? Because it sounds weird. It's Trepang2. I don't know. I don't know why I don't know why it's called this. It's bizarre.
And there's no space between Trepang and 2. It's just Trepang2.
There's no Trepang 1. I've spent time trying to find a Trepang 1. It doesn't exist. It's a studio called Trepang Studios, and their game is called Trepang2, and it's a Fear clone. I don't know. It's
I feel
bizarre,
like it's really bothering you, dude.
It's a little weird. I mean,
let it be called Trepang2.
Sure. Maybe. I mean, honestly, I've never heard anybody say it out loud, so maybe it's Trepang squared. I don't know. which I don't think. No, like when you look at the logo, the 2 is like it's like a to the power, like it's to the power of. Yeah, it's not Trepang2, but like I've never heard anybody say it out loud.
A little bit better than making it sound like a sequel to a game that never existed.
Yeah, it's true. And Carlos has entered the chat saying Fear 3 GOAT, and that's my cue to leave. So I'm gonna hand it over to Brad.
What's wrong with him? He can't actually mean
so much.
Okay. Hand it over to me so I can talk about Halls of Torment.
How much Halls of Torment have you played while sitting on the toilet on your Steam Deck?
Halls of Toilet.
It's one of those games, right?
I mean,
it's not.
I mean, you think it belongs in the toilet, right? Because the graphics aren't very good, right, Nick?
Oh yeah, it looks like trash.
I think they do a good job of mimicking the art style without just being like old. I don't know.
This is like a Vampire Survivor situation, right?
Exactly. Which let me tell you, as far as like chasing the indie phenomenon, like this is a good style of game to do it with, because these probably aren't like super hard to make, and they don't, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's easier than making like a battle royale game and trying to make that successful. You know what I mean? Yeah, in this game, like Brotato and all the other clones, 20 minutes till dawn or whatever, they're doing like extraordinarily well, and they're all $5. So just pick it up. It's $5. If you like Vampire Survivors, this is one of those. It has like a Diablo 1 kind of aesthetic, right? More than
I think
just
this looks
aesthetic.
Better.
It's sure.
Well,
there's much prettier ones than even this, Nick, if that's what you're really looking for is visuals.
That's all I care about.
Damn.
Apparently. But I will say, it is one of those, and if you ever played it, this will be immediately familiar in the good kind of way. It is immediately addictive. Let me tell you, this was a bad game to pick up right now because this is all I want to play. And man, there has been long cutscenes in Final Fantasy XVI where I whip out my Steam Deck and I'm like, you know what?
No.
I could pay attention to this cutscene and grind through these motherfuckers. I fucking can. So there are some smart things, and I do want to mention them. Some smart differences. One of the things is that so there are different character classes, which do feel a little bit more distinctly different than maybe some of the differences in Vampire Survivors, which do have differences, but they can be a little random. Here, it's like it's like different classes,
classic RPG classes.
Exactly. The thing is, your main weapon, which in this footage, I don't know what I am, probably the cleric. You can aim it, which is something you don't. Aiming a weapon is something you don't do in really Vampire Survivors, but it is optional. There's a toggle to where you can toggle on auto attack, and it will attack the closest enemy. all other abilities have their own sort of auto behavior. So it's only the main weapon that you can aim. But the cool thing is when you turn on auto aim, you can still steer it with the right stick. So it's sort of like aim on the fly. So like when a mini boss shows up or whatever, or if you're trying to get out of a really like sort of heinous mob of enemies, you can start kind of aiming in one direction with your main weapon instead of just letting it be all auto, which is like, it's smart, right? It's not either or, it's sort of like
It's
both at the same time.
it's kind of cool how different they let you control it. Like you can go
Yeah.
full like keyboard mouse, you have to click every time to attack. The auto attack, like if you have auto attack turned on in the settings, you can toggle between it on and off just by like double clicking right and left mouse buttons. So like you can kind of be like, oh, I want to just do manual attacks for a minute and then just like turn auto attack back on like whenever you want. Like
Let's see, I play
it's
with
kind
this
of cool.
I play it with a controller, so like having it like be auto aim and auto attack at all times, but I can aim with the right stick when I want is really nice.
Yeah.
um the other thing I really like about this game is it shows kind of like all your DPS and all your stats in the breakdown in the menu anytime you want. So if you pause, you can see a breakdown of like how the DPS and total damage that everything is doing. And it's not just like the skills that you're picking up, but you have like equipment and stuff in this game that you're equipping on the character. So you might have like a ring that adds like a burn. I mean, I don't know. This is not
Like
really how
crit
it is, but
chance.
like so I have a ring that can summon skeletons, right? It's like a necromancer ring, right? It'll even show you the kind of DPS that ring is putting out on top of like all your other skills and those modifiers. And being able to see that kind of like as you're building your character in the level is nice, because if something isn't really working out in terms of DPS, you might like make your choices lean in a different direction. While in Vampire Survivors, you kind of had to wait till the end of a run to kind of see the amount of damage everything was doing. So that's nice. The other thing I like is that the bosses and mini bosses, they're not just like big things that sort of run at you. They have like sort of areas of things that
Or
they
like
throw
attack
down on the ground, that
patterns.
you're
Yeah.
attack patterns and things that you're trying to avoid. So when you get to like some of the harder mini bosses and like the last boss of each stage, it doesn't seem like just like a damage check. There's also like an element of skill and dodging to it that uh is again not really present in Vampire Survivors, where it is just kind of where it's like, is death going to kill you or is he not? Did you break the game or did you not? Here it's like, oh, I feel underpowered, but if I can stay on it for long enough and avoid his pattern, I could win, which is a nice thing to have an element of skill in a game like this. Yeah, and just in general, there are enemy types that show up that are kind of force you to move. In Vampire Survivors, when you make a build where you can just stand still and kill everything, there's pretty much nothing that can hurt you. Again, it's just sort of a damage check. Here, there are like enemy types like wizards that will teleport in and start throwing projectiles at you to where you can't just stand still necessarily, which is again a good thing. It makes it a little more like engaging. That aside, like, oh, my favorite thing is actually the equipment system. Because each there's like a like quest trees for each character, and like kind of like your achievement system in Vampire Survivor, but they're organized into like these quest trees. And as you sort of like work through them, you'll unlock the opportunity for like certain types of equipment to drop in a run, right? And which can do things like cool, like summon um fucking necromancers with a ring, or boots that will drop flames everywhere you walk, right? Which is like, oh well, that'd be cool for a certain type of build. But they have a way to where you can there's like one point on the map which you can take an item or piece of equipment that you found, and if like from like killing a boss, and if you can get it back to that place, you can send it up basically. So you have to sacrifice it for that run, but it becomes available in a shop from a shopkeeper, like in your hub area between
Yeah.
runs, where you can now buy it and it becomes a permanent piece of equipment that you can equip on your character before you go out. Again, like letting you kind of take a certain class and steer more towards an actual build, even before you go out into a run.
I just got that NPC and like used him for the first time, and it's so cool. It is so cool.
So it's already an addictive formula, but now it's like, oh, I want to get through all these quest trees. I want to get all these items. I want to see how crazy some of this stuff can get. This game's only in early access. It's not 1.0. And with this style of game, I don't know how long it's going to take. I think they say not that long, but
they said they want to do no more than 6 months, and it came out in May.
We'll see. When Ultra Kill came out,
yeah,
they thought maybe it wouldn't take so long, but
but there's a lot here already. Like,
there's a lot, but I'm ready for more. I want it to be 1.0. It's super addictive, and it's kind of destructive to like playing. This
it's
is
a time killer.
McDonald's French fries of video games, and I'm over here with Final Fantasy 16 and Tears of the Kingdom and stuff. I will say though,
your empty calories.
I find this immediately more engaging than Diablo, which I don't know what that says about me these days, but what it has me really wanting is for Blizzard to take Diablo 4's like visuals and effects and make this type of mode.
If Diablo Immortal was just like Vampire Survivor, it would have been a smash hit. People would not have hated that game.
People love this type of game. If you can make Diablo look be that as pretty as it is, but this type of game, oh my god, they would sell so many more copies of this game. My god. Or just do a standalone mode. I mean, do what Fortnite did that one time when it chased a trend and it became the biggest game on the planet. Do it. Right? Do it, Blizzard.
They could.
You cowards.
Or Path of Exile. One of you motherfuckers just make this type of game. It's what the masses want, damn it.
They still haven't found they haven't found the cow level in Diablo 4 yet. So
what if that level was basically like a Halls of Torment map? That's what the cow level was. Oh man, God,
that's funny.
Oh man,
all right,
yeah. So this is cool. It's $5. It is still only in early access.
There's a free demo too. There's a free demo, and progress carries over.
Ooh, play.
If you're like me and you want to play the demo for 20 minutes and then realize it costs $5 and go, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think I got it on sale for $4 actually. So it's cool.
Damn.
Coupon over.
Let's go ahead and take this one across the finish line with the 4-player minute. I'm gonna let Brad start us off.
Damn, there was one specific thing I wanted to say, and I'm not ready because I got to remember what that is. So come back to me.
Okay, Nolan, you want to start us off tonight?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know if we talked about it when we talked about Zelda, because I wasn't on the first podcast, but I remember one of my complaints about the game were I didn't like that all the shrines were just like the same thing. And I can't remember if Breath of the Wild had this, but in Tears of the Kingdom, there are so many shrines that the puzzle is getting the shrine to open.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's collecting those crystals to get the shrine to open.
It's where you get really blessing, like where like there's no actual like puzzle inside. It's just get there and then
the puzzle
you just walk
is
in
getting the shrine to open somehow. So the crystal to open that shrine might be defended by some bokoblins on some like sky island that's farther, and just kind of trying to figure out how to get that crystal to the thing. And so that's kind of what I was looking for. A lot of my complaints about the original game is the fact that you're still in the environment that you're in. The shrine actually feels like it belongs there as it being some like standalone teleport thing that just here's your small little room, you solve a puzzle and you're done. The puzzle is trying to get the shrine to open, and so I've started doing a whole lot more of those in Zelda, and I've been really enjoying that.
It's kind of cool because you don't always know if the one that if the shrine you're trying to get to is one of those. I mean, sometimes you do because it's like go find the actual crystal that will then turn into the shrine itself. But then there's others that it's just like you can see it, but getting to that shrine is just difficult. So you have to find a way to get there. And then when you go in, it's like, I'm done. That was cool. Like just figuring out that part was the puzzle.
Exactly.
Nice.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, because we didn't do a show last week, but the week before I had complained about those YouTube videos auto-playing and messing up my history. So Chad 2869 actually reached out and let me know that that's actually a functionality you can disable on YouTube. I didn't realize that. So I was able to disable it. side note, you actually have to disable it for every device. So I had to do it on my desktop, I had to do it on my laptop, I had to do it on my phone. Each individual thing has its own setting, so I had to do it in all three of those places. But thanks for that. I now don't have to
Nice.
worry about that anymore.
It's in your account settings.
Yes, in your account settings. I forget what it's called. I believe it is referred to something along the lines of I don't remember. But yes, it's in those account settings.
I will figure it out.
Yeah. So the other thing is I didn't get a chance to play any Final Fantasy 16, kind of on purpose. I don't want to put down Zelda because I am still enjoying that. So I'm trying to, not complete it, but I'm trying to at least play a little chunk more before I pick up
Just
another.
play Zelda while
game.
you're watching Final Fantasy 16.
How many dungeons? Okay, how many temples have you done so far?
Nick, I've done one temple.
Okay, yeah. I've still only done
played
two,
a
but
whole
I
lot
haven't
of
been playing
game.
much.
Okay, but which one?
I did the Goron, so like Death Mountain.
Wow, okay. This guy marches to the beat of his own drum.
Yeah, everybody else here started with the Wind Temple.
Off the
really?
I
beaten
haven't done a
path.
single temple yet.
Or Brad hasn't done
Yeah.
any of them.
I've done like
Brad-
50 shrines. But...
Brad doesn't march.
And so the other thing is I want to just obviously, most people here know I recently moved to a new house. It's been an endeavor. It's been a pain. And there's so many little things that I'm having to do, especially being in a new state, getting, licenses and registering your car. It's all this stuff that, me being an adult man of my own age, never done any of this shit before because I've lived in Texas my whole life. So I've never had to deal with all of this stuff.
I kept my Florida driver's license for like 3 years when I moved to Texas. The only reason why I got one is because a fucking cop in Williamson County pulled me over and was
so that's the thing. Unfortunately, as badass as I seem, I'm a fucking rules follower, man. I am scared every second I'm on the road, and I just feel like something bad's gonna happen. Like, so my car, it's not.
Man.
Yeah, I'm not registered yet, and so I'm trying to get it done, but you have to do the insurance and all this stuff. And
don't tell anybody, but my roommate is from Michigan. He's lived here for like 12 years. Still uses a Michigan driver's license. He like goes home and gets it renewed on the holidays.
Wow. I feel like just our luck. There's like a police officer who listens to our show that is based in like Austin. It's like, what's this?
Oh man,
nobody's gonna do it. If there's a cop that listens to our show, they're cool.
Fucking
Crispy's a narc. Oh man.
But yeah, so the other big problem that I'm just gonna slightly bitch about is my yard is way bigger than my old house, and I have my push mower, and I can't do the entire yard on my electric push mower before it dies, and so I have to like split it over multiple days now.
You're gonna turn into a riding lawnmower man? He's thinking about it.
I think I am, and one of the main reasons is because obviously it's going to start snowing up here eventually, right? And so I'm gonna have to shovel snow, right? Like that's going to be a bitch and a half. I have a very long driveway that I'm gonna have to shovel. There's snowplow attachments for the riding lawnmower, and I'm like, so if I get a fucking riding lawnmower, I can just buy a snowplow attachment for it, and then I don't have to fucking shovel my driveway. So I'm thinking smart.
Nice.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
Put snow chains on your tires and everything.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Brad, I'm gonna throw it back to you, but oh, sorry, go ahead, Nolan.
I was just gonna say, like, thankfully, where I'm at, I don't think it's not going to snow like feet and feet every year. I'll probably get a few inches here and there. So I don't think I'll have to do snow chains, but we'll see.
And then comes the Arctic blast.
Right.
Brad, I'm going to throw it back to you, see if you're ready or not. But I just want to say, as someone who, I'm assuming you've played quite a bit of Zelda at this point, right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine the fact that you haven't done a single temple. I'm trying to figure out how you're just thinking about you navigating that world without some of the abilities you get in just the first or second temple. I'm like, what are you doing?
So I don't know what all the abilities are in each temple. I only know the ability for the Death Mountain, the Goron one. Yeah, the Fire Temple. Super helpful when exploring the world, Brad, just letting you know, because one of the problems I often ran into was when I would find a shrine, it was behind a bunch of rocks, and I have to start beating on the rocks with a weapon that has like a boulder attached to it, and then it breaks. I'm like, crap.
Or waste a bomb or
waste a bomb or something. The Goron ability allows you to just essentially throw him into rocks and they explode.
Yeah,
And you
and
can
I
just
know
keep
what
doing that.
I know what the Wind Temple ability is. I think
I
because
don't.
I've started that quest line, but like
I literally
it's like
can't imagine navigating that world without the Wind Temple
what I
ability.
don't.
It's
I mean, what do you? The game gives you so many tools. I've been.
I
Fine.
know, but that's what's blowing my mind. Okay, sorry. We did this is a 4-player minute. Brad, go. 4-player minute.
I'm not ready. Somebody else.
Oh my god,
God
Chris Davis,
motherfucker.
Damn it.
save us.
Okay.
He's not even fucking trying to think of it. He's probably looking down playing Halls of Torment on his
Yep.
fucking Steam
No,
Deck.
Halls of Torment's on this monitor. I've played the entire episode up until this point. Now I'm looking at my 4-player minutes.
God damn it. My 4-player minute. So we didn't get to. We decided against talking about Steam Next Fest demos as a proper topic tonight. But I did want to highlight 2 that I played over the weekend that I was pleasantly surprised about. One of them was El Paso Elsewhere. It is
I downloaded it.
Yes, it's pretty good. And by the way, a lot of the demos from Steam Next Fest are still available after the event, so you can probably go to Steam and find them. El Paso Elsewhere is like a demonic version of Max Payne.
You had me in demonic.
Yeah, you're basically going to El Paso to a motel where a demon is trying to summon the end of the world. But it plays very much like Max Payne, specifically Max Payne 1 and 2. And it also does the narration and presentation style of those classic Max Paynes, just with demons and stuff like that. It's actually a pretty good presentation. I like the narration that they're doing in this game. Check it out. It's pretty good. And then the other one I played was On Guard. This is a kind of Castilian or Three Musketeers-esque kind of sword fighting game. The demo itself is just the tutorial level, teaching the mechanics and stuff like that. But the mechanics are actually surprisingly fun. It really makes you thinking about, space of your environment, using objects in it to your advantage. Like you can kick boxes into guards to put them into a stun state and then actually do damage to them. There is a little bit of Sekiro energy in there, in which your enemies have well, hang on. In which you actually want to stun enemies or get them weakened enough to actually do a set amount of lethal damage to them to knock them out. But there's a lot of charm to it. It's very cartoony. It really kind of plays into like a kid-friendly version of the Three Musketeers. I don't know. I really like it. So those are the 2 demos I really wanted to highlight, and y'all should really go play them. I think On Guard especially is going to be very charming and do very well when it comes out.
Sweet. Thank you, sir. Brad, are you ready yet?
Yeah, sure, I'm ready. I remember what I want to say. I just want to give a shout out to the video game that my son Henry has been playing. Hot summers down here in Texas, so he's been spending a lot of time playing some PlayStation 5. Let me tell you, handing a $70 controller or whatever to a 5-year-old is fucking Jesus. It's bad. Both triggers on my other controller are busted now. Fucking
great.
PS5 springy triggers. I mean, I broke one of them, I guess, or it's just cheap.
Now that's a twist.
Cheap materials. Anyways, he's been playing Sackboy, which I want to give a shout out because I played that whole game with Malia, and I thought it was like surprisingly good. I think people have been kind of unfair to that game. It's like a really fun platformer with like a really cool level design, cool look, obviously a Little Big Planet aesthetic. And it's just been like the perfect, game for him. He had been just kind of like swinging around doing stuff in Miles Morales, and it was kind of not really playing the game. But this game, he's been like, you can kind of turn on infinite lives to where you don't have to like run out of lives and start the whole level over again. You just go back to like the previous checkpoint infinitely. And he's been like able to get through these levels and these bosses and like finding like the actual like blue orbs, which is sort of like the items that you're collecting kind of make progress. And and he kind of,
That's cool.
he's like, oh, can you help me? Can you help me? And I've been like, if you want to play, you gotta do it yourself. That I've been sort of that sort of thing, right? Because I don't want him handing me the controller every time it gets a little bit hard. And today I get home and he's like doing like the challenge stages, like the side little optional challenge stages. And I go up to him. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm doing this fucking challenge stage." I asked mom for help, but it was too hard for her. So I'm trying to figure it out myself. And Malia was like, "Dude, he's been on this stage for like an hour and a half." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my son." And I'm like, "Well."
The first time he felt proud.
And I'm like, why? I can't hear the game. He's like, yeah, I turned the music off because it was distracting me.
Wow.
True gamer.
Shout out to Sackboy Big Adventure and my son Henry, who's kicking his butt right now.
Wow.
Nice. Nicely done. All right, Crispy, you're up.
Well, you talk about the dangers of handing a $70 controller to a 5-year-old. Apparently, it's also dangerous to hand it to a 35-year-old because I keep finding triggers and stuff from my roommate's controller after he gets pissed off playing NHL and just like spiking it into the ground.
No.
Yeah, I keep hearing noises. It's just like, oh yeah, I punched my fucking amp because I'm so pissed off. And dude, like, I was like, play something else. And he's like, all right, fine, I'm gonna play Demon Souls. And then he comes into my room like 20 minutes later, and he's like, I uninstalled Demon Souls. I don't like video games anymore. I love it. It's so funny. I just want to say that from the Annapurna thing today, we didn't really mention it, I don't think, but the one that looked really fun to me was that Bounty Star game.
Yes.
The mech game that's coming out.
Why didn't we talk about that?
I don't know. It looks kind of cool.
Rushing me.
I mean, it's going to be like an 80, right? Like, it's not going to be incredible, but like, it looks fun. And it's like I was saying when we were talking about Armored Core 6, I think it's time. I think we're in the cusp of a mech game revolution. I think the people are ready. They want it. Give it to them. It's time.
Mechs make every game better.
Bounty Star looks great. Bounty Star looks fun. Fires of Rubicon is going to be awesome. It's going to be a 92. Just watch. Just watch. It's amazing.
92.
Let's calm down
if it
there.
scores over 90, I'm giving you $20 cash, Chris.
No, but I will graciously accept that.
I can only spare 9 points for you, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, it's just we'll see. We'll see. We will see. We shall see. All right.
Absolutely.
The haters and the doubters and the fucking it's knives out. It's knives out for Fires of Rubicon.
It'll be 81 and you should be happy with that.
We'll see who's still standing at the end, all right? We'll see. That's all I got to say. Also, Halls of Torment's pretty fun.
Sweet. All right. I'll keep this pretty short. It's been kind of, like I said, it's been kind of a rough going for me. I'm learning a lot about Fantasy Critic. I'm feeling it's been kind of a roller coaster. Been feeling very down about it, and then feeling positive, and I'm a little antsy because there's quite a few games on my list that I'm just kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop in terms of like release date information. I don't know how many slots realistically I'm gonna have to fill, but I've started. I have a game plan. I've found a pretty. I've dug a little deeper, and I found some things that I feel pretty good about. So yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good, but also
I'll say this, Nick. If Silent Hill 2 gets delayed, you should be happy. Find something better.
I will only agree with you in the sense that it's a bit of a risk, and I'm trying to be pretty risk averse right at this point. Although I'm not going to be a negative Nancy like you, I'm still very excited for Silent Hill 2 remake. But
no, sure.
At this point, I just want to know whether I should be counting on it or not. But I can also say the same thing.
Bluebird today says they're done with psychological horror, which
first of all,
much to the concern of the people who are waiting for Silent Hill 2, the defining psychological horror game that they're currently working.
Did you read the article that was attached to that, or are you just going to look?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, you should read the article because that's not what. Of course, everybody is taking that little blurb and running with it, but like,
it's just a funny headline given they're working on Silent Hill 2.
I know it's a dumb headline, but it's also like you read the article and what they're talking about is they want to get away from making what they're really talking about is getting away from games that are not very mechanics driven and are basically they don't want to make games that people keep calling walking simulators. They want to make games that are more mechanically diverse.
I fucking hope so.
Okay, so that's it was a weird choice of words for them to say they're done. They did say they
called horror walking sim psychological horror games, basically.
Sure.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, read the article. It was a dumb statement. Anyways, my point is kind of really digging deep and looking at stuff and trying to figure out my path towards my final list at the end of the year has really painted a picture of just how fucking awesome the second half of 2023 is looking.
Sure.
And it's insane, guys. Like I have a list about as long as like my entire list from last year of games that I'm excited about coming in the second half of the year. And when you add that to everything that's already happened this year, it's crazy. I can't get over this.
Yeah. We'll see. We got to make sure there's no just crushing disappointments in that back half of the year, but it's looking pretty good.
I don't. Fuck Redfall, man. That's my fuck you for the week. Fuck Redfall again. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to our show. That is it for tonight. Of course, we'll be back next week to talk about more video games. We record these live Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Time on twitch.tv/4Player Podcast. Of course, you can find all of our podcasts on 4playernetwork.com or on the podcast service you prefer. You can also find us in Discord. That's where the whole community is. Come hang out with us. Come say hello. Come talk about video games at discord.gg/4player. In the meantime, everybody be good to each other. Play video games. Good night.
Bye.